27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. This is what we do. Who we are.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
Boom, and welcome to Rambo and Frens. I am your host, Joe Rambo, and we have some OGs of the show back on today. I cannot wait to do this. If for any of you that are new to following the show, I am going to give you a quick intro on these dudes. So, first and foremost, the two guys that you're going to see on the show today are, without question, two of the nicest gentlemen you will ever meet. That is bar none, period, full stop, 100%, without a question. They won't tell you that, but I will. Some things have happened behind the scenes with me and my son, with other people in the movement, that these guys probably wouldn't want to take credit for the things that they've done. But what they've done for people is second to none kindness. Without question. I don't know how to even explain it, put it into words, how good of people these two are. Now, with that being said, I always title the show when they come on, Protect Your Mind and Control Your Emotions, because they will challenge your thought process. They will challenge the way you think, and they will talk about things that may affect you emotionally, because we are tied to our beliefs through our emotions. Now, leave your emotions at the door, because the conversations that we have will hurt your feelings, and then you'll never come back to the show. Understand that that is the challenge when we have this show, is to try to figure out together how to separate logical thought processes and your emotions, because emotions can't affect critical thought, right? So now that we did all that, let's hear from the boss and bring these guys in.
I wouldn't miss a chance to talk to my friends. These are my friends.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
That is so perfect.
I thought so too. That's the part I didn't tell everybody. These guys also have an amazingly great sense of humor. So
You're gay. You're gay.
No, you are gay.
why?
You are so gay.
You
Why
do
are you
not
gay?
make fun of me.
Don't you kick my dog.
You're way better at it than I am.
Oh, what's
You
up?
know damn
guys?
right. You know damn right.
Why are you gay? So, how have you guys been, man? It's been a while.
Good.
Yeah.
Life, yeah, crazy, man. Halloween last night, that was really weird. We had snow in Minnesota. We had like 3 inches of snow in my house, and it's all going to melt today.
Bro, did you see Dan Scavino's? Hold on. I gotta play this since it was Halloween. I forgot all about this, but you guys gotta see this. It's brilliant. And Dan is literally making a call out to try to figure out who these people are. It's freaking awesome. Check out this Halloween video.
When he called us all garbage, How stupid. What a stupid word. That blows deplorable away, don't you think?
Dude.
Of course, I thought irredeemable when she said deplorable or irredeemable. I thought irredeemable was actually worse, but deplorable seemed to catch up. But this garbage stuff blows it away. So I'm in this beautiful plane. I'm enjoying myself. Have a wonderful suit on. When he called us all garbage.
Somebody's dad went hard really quick.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't that just happen? Yeah, that's the greatest Halloween costume of the year.
That is awesome. That is awesome. What else did Scavino post anything else yesterday? No.
Scavino said, anyone know where or who this is? We have to send them some signed Donald J. Trump merch. I'm dead. That's really funny.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Okay, right. So I want to actually, yeah.
I think we tell people we're going to try to limit our F-bombs.
Okay.
Much as we can.
All right, so let's talk about that for a second. The three of us had a talk here before the show. So we are literally friends outside of here, and we talk very real. And it's the talk on the show is always very real. So we don't, it's very honest, it's real, and we kind of forget there's an audience sometimes. And some of the comments I've gotten, I've heard from some of the ladies that watch the show that there might be grandkids or whatever on the floor. While you're, say, cooking or baking or whatever in the kitchen or whatever it is that you might be doing. And we do realize that this is a middle of the day show. So we're going to do our best. There's typically a swear jar on this show when JFanon and Sapioplex are here. I've made more money doing that than selling my pillow. But we're going to try.
I just do a direct deposit every month in advance.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try.
We're gonna switch to Swahili and just say Katomba.
I'm gonna use the German Verfickt, like it's an effed up world, Verfickte Welt. So you'll know.
I don't know. How am I supposed to charge you guys if I don't know the language?
Charge us in a foreign currency. Zimbabwe money is really cheap.
I have like $1 billion dinar hidden under my mattress. So.
Yeah, I think I have a $10 trillion Zimbabwe note that I bought for $35, and it probably wasn't worth it.
Probably. Come on.
All right, look.
Come on.
I'm gonna give. I saw Dave in the chat. I want to give. I don't know if Dave was the first one. It was the first time I saw it. Trump's now on 3 times a day. He's doing 3 rallies a day. I don't even know how the man's doing it. And I also want to say that, like, okay, so if I just had 17 Whirlpool boxes behind me, this may be the last time you see me for a while. Next week is day shift, and then the week after that, I switched around my work so that I can make it to GART the next weekend, which is 2 weekends from now. The election will be happening this week. If I can figure out how to get on here, I will, but it's looking very, very busy to the point where shows are going to be difficult for the next at least week, if not 2. I promise y'all, I love doing this. I will be here if I can, but I don't know what's next. Besides coming back with great stories from GART and continuing what we're doing right now, which is one of the reasons that I tried to shove so many shows into this week. So I'll be in the Cheyenne Mountains. I'm just kidding. Dave found something yesterday. At least I think it was Dave. Love that dude who was on the show yesterday. First of all, take a listen to this.
But if he comes back with, I don't know, Bobby Kennedy and Elon Musk, when he comes back with an army of people who know exactly what's up, they know what's going on, they know where the bodies are likely to be buried, and they're coming with shovels to dig them up. What you're seeing now is actual panic and desperation. And
okay, that already is a Q reference. We all know it, right? I would know that right when I heard him talk about the bodies being buried. I would have had to look to find out it's an exact delta.
Oh my God.
Who knows where the bodies are buried?
Drop 14.
The delta?
Exact. October 31st, 2017.
That's just that QAnon crap.
That's conspiracy theorist.
What
Good
a
catch,
god.
Dave. Yeah, I didn't even watch the whole Tucker thing because there's Trump's on all day long. You could sit and watch Trump rallies for 15 hours if you wanted to right now. I'm trying.
Yeah, I got a theory.
That will melt your head.
Go ahead, start with your theory.
Well, I got a couple of theories. I mean, this election stuff is fascinating to me because how much worse can Kamala look? I mean, seriously, Vivekta's stupid.
We got a few days left.
Yeah, it's going to get worse. And her numbers keep dropping. And now you've even got mainstream media and mainstream polls going, yeah, Trump could win New Hampshire and Pennsylvania. You could win all these states. And so you have this buildup. And we all know, right? Of course Trump should win this. Well, I don't think it's going to appear that he won this.
Yeah, why don't we throw out our scenarios, John? You throw out yours, I'll throw out mine. These are just our favorite scenarios. We both acknowledge that there are just a ton of different scenarios that they could play out. So we're totally guessing, right? There are in tens of scenarios they could throw out that would all be plausible and would all work.
Yeah.
But,
so knowing what to expand a little on what Paul's saying, what we're thinking about is thanks, Dave. What we think is that there are myriad ways that they can make this thing turn, and for us to be able to figure out exactly what they're going to do, I mean, it'd be pure luck if we hit it.
Well, also just as a finer point, the whole thing is designed so you can't predict it, which is why John and I stopped making predictions, because we noticed that it's too perfectly designed so you can't predict it. They intentionally make you think you can predict it when you can't.
Yeah,
so.
we tried the date fagging thing, and it just multiple fails.
We just ended up being fags.
What's that?
We just ended up being fags.
Look, I don't know if anybody if you guys out there aren't going to understand the inside joke, as the show has grown tenfold over the last month or two. But if you want to go back and see some of the funniest stuff ever, look up the JFanon and Smart Paul, aka Sapioplex shows, because we literally were waiting for aliens to show up on one day.
They're still on my bingo card, but for next year.
Yeah,
it was awesome. I went outside. It was the eclipse, right?
Yeah, because the information stream that was coming out about it was, there was so much hype and there were so many things that pointed to this being a thing, and then nothing happened, and we both went, wait a second, and then we were too stupid to figure out that maybe we shouldn't do that, so we kept doing it, and the information kept getting stronger and stronger, so it looked more and more like you should be able to predict these things. And they were wrong. And then because we found all this stuff in the media, we realized that that's Lucy pulling the football away from Charlie Brown. They do this on purpose. You're not going to predict what's going on.
No. Well, we can talk about aliens later on in the show for sure. And what I really think, I don't think they're aliens at all. I don't think they'll be, but they're going to appear that way. Anyway, election stuff, right? So there's three ways this thing, well, really two ways this thing is either Harris is going to appear to have won it or Trump is going to win it. And I think the latter case is probably the worst case, although I could still make an interesting scenario out of that. But my favorite scenario is, I call it the Superman 2 / Office Space scenario, where Harris appears to win by like 25 million votes because somebody fucking fat fingered it. That would be this.
Oh, I said it. Yeah, see, I have a different favorite, but go ahead, John.
Sorry, oops. Somebody Vivekta fat fingered it. This is going to be a really hard. This is going to be a hard change.
Hard
because I'm not doing it in the real world. Anyway, so somebody fat fingers it, right? And everybody know, like, how the Vivekta did she win by 25 million votes? It's not, even the normies are going to go, you know what? There's been a whole lot of weirdness this whole last 4 years. There's no way this could be. There's no way this can be. And it would get worked out. How that could happen, I've looked into it. So the president can do anything, basically. That's our contention within context, right? This particular power of basically saying, I'm going to order a new election, that would be something that would have to probably go in front of an emergency SCOTUS court. But I looked at what Eisenhower did, what he used in the Arkansas when he sent the federal troops. He sent the 101st Airborne. That's pretty badass. He used there were 3 acts passed like in 1870, 71, and then there was an additional amendment to it maybe later on. But they're known as the Enforcement Acts, and it was really to ensure voting, which is also really interesting. But it was to ensure that voters could not be discriminated against based on race, creed, color, But there's a phrase in there that the president is able to use federal troops for this. So it gets around the whole mess about posse comitatus, which I don't think applies anyway. But again, that's never been in front of SCOTUS. So you would have a situation where maybe Biden would be compelled. I mean, there would be peaceful protests, I would think, from our side. That, oh my God, you have to fix this. Ultimately, what I think happens, I don't know the mechanism, but ultimately what I think would happen is that the military would be the only way to rerun the election in a very short period of time. Because I would imagine they might even try to do it before January 6th so they can stay on that schedule. I could also see a scenario where it goes into next year. But anyway, if you think about it, then the military would say, all right, and Biden might say, look, we know that there was foreign interference. We know that. Space Force has told us. We know the election is so corrupt, there's no way that we can figure out who won. Now, Biden's never going to say it that clearly, but who knows how they're going to do it. This is just my sweet little bedtime dream.
Yeah, my version is slightly different, but almost the same. And that is that Trump wins by 51% to 49%, right? Something very close. And the entire left flips out and accuses Trump of cheating. And so Biden orders the military to rerun the election to prove that Kamala won, and it ends up backfiring, and Trump wins in a landslide, and at the same time delivers a report showing here's how all the fraud worked, here's all the criminals. And so what that does is now Trump won, right? It'll be challenged in the Supreme Court and all that, and it'll go through all the challenges. Trump takes office, and Biden has now served him on a silver platter the mandate to fix the 2020 and the 2024 elections, to arrest everybody who did anything wrong, and Biden did it. So the liberals can't blame Trump for having caused this.
I got one. I want to add one. So Trump told us there's going to be an explosion, was the word he used, between Kamala and Biden.
Yep.
And we are seeing, just like we did Kellyanne on here yesterday, I think. And Kellyanne was in line in Bucks County and showed that they were cutting the line early, way early, hours early, right? Donald Trump and his team, through her video, went and filed to he brought a lawsuit against them, and he won very, very quickly, by the way. And they added 3 extra days to early voting. That's not the only case. There's many. I'm just bringing that one up to give one example, but we are exposing fraud right now in real time.
Yeah.
I think that will continue through this process. What are we down to? 4 days left anyway. I think that Donald Trump could potentially win in a landslide and then start to expose 2020 and then face the day where he gets sentenced and go to jail.
I like that.
Wow.
And so if Donald Trump gets sentenced and goes to jail while proving election fraud through 2024 and potentially showing 2020, we as a people are not the type to go out here and start shooting. But man, with the storm, looked at Twitter exactly this.
Yeah.
My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. And then he walked, Perp walked.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really like that. I had not thought about the jail angle.
His sentencing day is only it's when?
The 26th?
Right. Between the election and inauguration day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
even
that would be
even before certification. Yeah.
Oh, that would be
Even before certification. So it's going to be a media frenzy of just moronic idiots.
That would be a constitutional crisis unlike anything we've ever seen because you'd have the Dems not wanting to certify. Now that election act that was passed by the Dems in 21 basically turns the VP role into a ministerial role only. So the VP maybe could refuse. Harris could refuse to certify, except it really wouldn't matter. But
you know what? I could even take out. Sorry to interrupt you. I want you to keep going, but I could even get rid of the 2020 being exposed before he goes to jail. You could literally just have the cheating exposed in 2024. Donald Trump gets sentenced. My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. Get perp walked, and then you want to talk about a unifying moment in the country?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone would want to stand up because what just happened was legitimately wrong. And then he comes out and we expose 2020. That could happen as well.
Yeah, I like this scenario just because it's more chaos, and chaos is kind of a hallmark of this of this whole show.
Maximize the pain on all sides.
There's another scenario that let's say Harris wins by a little bit, or maybe it's a lot. And what if Biden were to come out and actually go, "Come on, man." Because think about this, the rift between Biden and Harris started when Harris took him out, or he was taken out by Pelosi, or whatever the narrative is. So there's this, the press has talked about this bad blood. It keeps that thread just keeps popping up like a, nasty
like a boil ready to explode.
It's like a recurring pimple, and a zit. I like zit better. So it just keeps coming up like a zit though. And it started in July and I've seen something almost every week about it, about how Jill Biden is so pissed. Well, what if in the day or two after the election where Kamala's crowned president, basically by the media, he comes out and he says, no, I've had a change of heart. I've had a come to Jesus moment. And, my confession to the American people is we cheated in 2020 to get me in. And here it is, Harris. Now this is more implausible, except that rift just makes me think like, well,
the other thing is they control all the media. And if Biden goes and does a press conference and says that, then it happened.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
So Biden drops a dime on Harris. That's another scenario, which and Biden could order then say, well, we're going to have a new election, and there still would be massive protests. They could still sentence Trump. I don't know.
Let me say thank you. I'm going to try to keep up with these this time. So TikToks. What's up? Going on? What's going on out there? TikToks. I see you out here with the cookie. Good day, gents. Hope you're all doing well. TikToks back to back cookies. Thank you very much. Water Wizard with the can and Ohio Kimmy with the can. Thank you guys all over there on pill.net. Redeemed Patriot also with a cookie. Thank you guys. Means the world. Hit that positive affirmation button on whatever platform you're on. Appreciate it. We hit number 20, by the way, yesterday's show. The last I looked, hit number 20 on the Rumble leaderboard. That is because you guys are so active. Thank you very, very much.
Hang on. I want to address one thing in the chat. I haven't been able to look at the chat so much. LiegeNet, can the legitimate president be imprisoned? Well, he's a president elect at that point. So he's not really the president. And everybody would think, well, you can't really put this guy in prison. But if they did, you would have these people, all these centrists, kind of the normies go, well, something really stinks about that. That doesn't seem right.
I don't think they can hold him in prison, but that might have to be decided by SCOTUS.
Yeah.
I would argue they can do whatever they want at this point. They've already done a bunch of things that are completely illegal, like install Kamala. She didn't get one freaking vote.
No.
She used, as far as the mainstream media told us, she used Joe Biden's freaking registration number to accept campaign money. And all things you can't do legally. And we're just moving right along like it's real.
Yeah. So I had a conversation last night with an extremely liberal girl, very intelligent, very, very, very intelligent. But she was getting her information from essentially a little echo chamber of her friends and the news sources. And it was like a laundry list of what the right would say is wrong with the left. But you got to kind of look in the mirror. Both sides are almost equally wrong about their emotional attachment to all these issues.
Yeah.
And I anyway, to go off on a really micro tangent, it really got her gears going when I said, how do you know any of this is real? Because she was complaining to me that this stuff can't actually be happening in real life. And I said, no, it's not. It's a show. And she didn't, she just kind of probably thought I was insane. But that's going to stick with her. Because at the end of the day, when this plays out, there's no way any of this shit is organic.
There's no way.
There's no way.
No, here's the organic part. We are being shown the Epstein/Diddy client list in real time. I got proof.
Yeah, but it would never happen.
We all want a world where our kids feel safe and free and valued by their president, because whoever leads this country matters. That's how we make the greatest America. Because I remember growing up thinking.
All right, shut up, lady. So
I can't stand that woman.
Yeah, no, but right?
I want a world where
shut up, lady.
This so
Every
hard.
single person they parade
Yeah.
from day one, even
Yeah.
now, hindsight's 2020, right? A stolen election. Look back to Inauguration Day. We got freaking Lady Gaga, who's a dude. We got Garth Brooks, who's now been implicated. It's just right down the line. Everybody they parade up there with this show is implicated.
Yeah,
Every
don't forget
one of them.
Cardi B. Cardi B just endorsed Kamala, and then you've got Insane Clown Posse endorsed Kamala. Like,
Those guys are fagos. Those guys are fagos.
Eminem. We just had Eminem. He's in the drops.
this is like watching a bad Pulp Fiction movie.
Yeah.
It's the greatest Pulp Fiction movie I've ever seen.
Leash
Great
followed up.
revelation.
I want to answer Leishnet's question. He said, but if he was proven to have been the legitimate 20, I don't know if you said 202, 2024 or 2020, it still wouldn't be proven at that point. They could put him in prison 1126, and it's going to be a while before they do that reveal. I mean, they can do anything. Look, I mean,
SCOTUS can just rule in January that they can't hold him in prison if he's been elected president.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The drops told us by the book, everything had to be done legally. That doesn't, in my opinion, mean that the PSYOP we're watching has to be done. It's a show. They can do whatever they want to show the very real threats that were happening.
Yes.
So if they're breaking the law and pretending it's okay, then the show's going to show that they were breaking the law to try to and right. Making it like it was okay. But behind the scenes, in my opinion, there's no way we're getting paraded all these people on the Epstein and Diddy client lists and so much more without there being some legal processes going on behind the scenes. Hence John McCain, no name, done in 30, right? There's no his daughter, my dad, you can't kill him again. John Koshik, it's been 24 hours since John McCain's been put to death. That to me is the key to prove that there's real operations going on behind the scenes. And then we have all the times that Donald Trump said he's shot, it's not him, blah, blah, blah. There's no way I can't connect those dots. Go ahead.
All of this stuff can be legal and for a couple different reasons. One is that the Smith-Mundt Act did not prohibit using propaganda on the population. People are just wrong about that. Go read the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act. The second reason is because at any point in U.S. history, last 248 years or whatever it is, any president who thought there was a state of war can do anything they feel is necessary, including lie to the public for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff can be legal really trivially.
Yeah, for the people that are questioning when we say that POTUS could have all this power, I mean, I think it would have to be judged by SCOTUS. But if you look at SCOTUS rulings on on limits of presidential power, there's only one where they went against the president, and that was Harry Truman. I think in 51, there was going to be some steel strike or whatever, and he nationalized the plant. And they said you can't do it. And I don't remember their exact reasoning, but
it's highly contextual.
They're totally contextual, right? So if The president must take care that the laws be enforced. That's Article 2, like Section 7 or 8. That little bit of phraseology. Again, we can go through this again if it would help people. But
we've done it on previous shows, I think, multiple times.
Yeah, just real briefly, if you don't believe it, that was the intent of the founders, read Federalist paper. I think it's 70 or 74.
70.
And James Madison basically says, I'm going to paraphrase and I'll try to get it really close, but every man the least conversant in the history of the Roman Republic knows that the Republic was obliged to take refuge in the power of one man. So he's basically saying, look, there might be a time when the Senate or the congressional branch is so corrupt that the president has to have that power.
Yeah, by the way, I would like to point out the beauty of John's memory to be able to quote Madison like that.
I'm sure I got some of the words wrong, but that's the general.
It's impressive. And I've played this clip before, maybe 10 times. So most of you guys have probably seen it, but I think that it's important to show when you guys start talking about this stuff. So I'm going to again, but I can always prove, especially when it comes to these theories, that Donald Trump has told us enough to make it seem like what you're saying is more than legitimate, especially when it comes to Article 2. Here's the clip. I know some of you guys have seen it before, but bear with us. It's important to watch.
Muffled.
Yeah, muffled again.
Your microphone.
Where I have the right to do whatever I want as president, but I don't even talk about that.
It's a thing called Article 2. Nobody ever mentions Article 2.
More importantly, Article 2 allows me to do whatever I want. Article 2 would have allowed me to fire him.
So it sounds
But I wasn't going to fire. You know why? Because I watched Richard Nixon go around firing everybody, and that didn't work out too well. So very simply, Article 2 would allow me to do.
I could have done anything I wanted. I don't even bring it up because we don't even get there. Absolutely, I have Article 2.
It gives me all of these rights at a level that nobody has ever seen before. We don't even talk about Article 2. So, they rule.
You know why nobody's seen it? Nobody's seen it because it's freaking secret. All they have to do is say this is classified.
So here's kind of my theory on the posse comitatus and why everybody always says, well, the president can't use these army domestically. I think that's been purposely obstructed by the White Hats. Purposely not obstructed, obscured by the White Hats, because they didn't want it known that this was out there. Because the fundamental question to me is this, and again, SCOTUS would have to decide, but it seems really clear to me, and I'm a little crazy, but if you have a government like we have, where you have the legislative branch, the executive, and the judicial branch, and the three are separate, how can one branch limit a core power of another? I mean, procedurally, yeah, the legislative branch can tell the SCOTUS, this is going to be the format of how you throw your decisions out there, but they can't tell them how to decide. And in the same vein, how does the legislative branch take and pass the Posse Comitatus Act and say the president can't do this without our express approval?
Yeah, when the Constitution gives the president a power, then the legislative branch can't just pass a law that removes that power. You have to amend the Constitution.
Yep.
And they haven't done that.
Yeah, I grant that would have to be decided by SCOTUS, but I can't see how they decided any other way.
Well, but the other thing is, even though it has to be decided by SCOTUS, POTUS can do it, and then SCOTUS can undo it if they decide to, but it's already been done.
There is one Q drop. I'm going to see if I can find it really quick.
Well, while you're looking, I got one. So Dave just told me in the chat to look at drop 23. Do you guys know that in Article 2, given the right circumstances, similar to devolution theory, an attack on our soil, a stolen election,
insurrection,
right? So any of those circumstances in Article 2 would give the president the right to instruct his military, who reports directly to the commander in chief, to take over all three-letter agencies
It
investigations.
actually gives POTUS unlimited power, full stop.
Well, okay, so
There's nothing POTUS can't do.
If you start a branch of the military called Space Force, and they umbrella are in charge of all of the rest, and the president instructs the intelligence agency, which would be Space Force, to take over all investigations of three-letter agencies, he would, first of all, the military is the only way. Second of all, I have it all. We caught them all. Let's see what happens. It would end. They would put on this show.
Yeah.
It would pretty much sum up all of what we're talking about. And look at today's Delta. Drop 23, 11/1/2017. Note, military intelligence has the same SAPs as NSA, CIA, etc., as designated post 9 through 11. Why is this relevant? Who can be held hostage and controlled? CIA thinks its foreign offshore assets are strong enough to defend against the U.S. executive, not accounting for military use on domestic soil. Why does the Constitution explicitly grant this authority to the president, and what is it to prevent? They knew our agencies would grow in power so much so that they can hold an executive hostage or engage with bad actors. Trump nominated someone new to direct every agency but one. He controls the top.
Yeah.
That sums up exactly what I just talked about.
Yeah. So to add to this and kind of blow my, there's then fireworks. So Joe, look up Q34, which is a Delta for today.
Oh yeah. This is a good one. 34 and 35 go together.
Yeah. This is going to hurt people's heads.
Q Clearance Patriot. 11/1/2017. Also a Today Delta. My fellow Americans, over the course of the next several days, you will undoubtedly realize that we are taking back our great country, the land of the free, from the evil tyrants that wish to do us harm and destroy the last remaining refuge of shining light. On POTUS's order, we have initiated certain fail-safes that shall safeguard the public from the primary fallout, which is stated to occur 11.3. Holy crap. Upon the arrest announcement of Mr. Podesta, who just hit the news again, actionable 11.4, confirmation to the public of what is occurring will then be revealed and will not be openly accepted. The public riots are being organized in serious numbers in an effect to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. On POTUS's order, a state of temporary military control will be actioned and special ops carried out. False leaks have been made to retain several within the confines of the United States to prevent extradition and special operator necessity. Rest assured, the safety and well-being of every man, woman, and child in this country is being exhausted in full. However, the atmosphere within the country will unfortunately be divided, as so many have fallen for the corrupt and evil narrative that has long been broadcast. We will be initiating the Emergency Broadcast System, EMS, during this time in an effort to provide a direct message, avoiding the fake news to all citizens. Organizations and or people that wish to do us harm during this time will be met with swift fury. Certain laws have been pre-lifted to provide our great military the necessary authority to handle and conduct these operations at home and abroad. Holy shit.
Yeah, so can you say the next few days might just be a shit show? I mean, you were saying, could it get worse for Kamala? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the election doesn't happen. I think
that's very likely after reading these drops. If there's any accuracy to this, it's about to get crazy right now.
Yeah, but then Lucy pulls the football, so be careful. Just kind of sit back and eat your gruel and watch the crap fly by.
Right. Watch the shit show. So all this, one other thing I just thought of, when you look at this call for early voting, what was it in 2020? Everyone was like, no, go vote in person. Go vote in person. That was the Republican side. The GOP was saying that. Now it's like, get out there early, and it is everywhere. Why is that? I think that's to drive this narrative that Trump is going to win in a landslide.
Right. Except historically, the Democrats have always reigned supreme in early voting. And then on voting day, the Republicans come and catch up. Right. Except this time, I think the narrative might be, well, all the Republicans went out and voted early because Trump told them to. And so they exhausted their ammunition, and the Democrats are going to sail to the top, and all the Democrats are going to go, see, there are more of us. It's just going to cause this massive confusion.
Superman 2.
Exactly what they want.
Superman 2. And guess what? Whoever did that fat finger and all the people, they're going to go to federal penalty in the ass prison. Bam!
He wrote that cease and desist post like 7 times so far now. There something happened here recently I wanted to ask you guys about. I've talked about this on the show, but I want to hear your guys' opinion because we've talked so much about this going back into Barack Obama's term even further with you guys, right? But specifically, we've talked about Barack Obama many times. Did you guys see Elon Musk talk about Doge coin the other day? And what
Doge
is
coin?
Yes. So the other one of the guys that helped start Dogecoin in 2013, which would be the beginning of Barack Obama's second term, talked about Doge and what can we do to strip a bunch of the money away from this, the debt away from this Kamala Harris, Joe Biden economy. And what's the acronym for Doge?
Department of Government Efficiency.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's big.
Synchronicities, like, is that intentional? Maybe not. Maybe it is. I think it is. It's absolutely intentional.
How many coincidences before this gets mathematically impossible? Yeah. I mean, I'm saying that Q said that how many times, but seriously, how many? How many? There's so much. And
you can do the calculation any way you want, and what we're seeing is fake.
Right. It's for anybody with any level of critical thought process, there's no way that this is all lining up the way it is without it being directed.
That's why John and I have decided to kind of make a push with trying to help people to understand the cognition of how to see through this bullshit, which we can get to later. But yeah, it's like one step can get you there, but it takes effort.
I'll tell you what, let's get into that, but hold on. Let me say thank you I don't like doing them all at one time. So let me say thank you to a sponsor or two here real quick, and then we'll get into that. Is that cool?
Yeah.
You guys can take it in any direction you want after that. So Tulip Blooms and Patrick Gunnels. Let's listen to hear from him first.
At Tulip Blooms, we believe in more than just skincare. We believe in freedom. We believe in natural products made by Americans, for Americans, using nature's finest ingredients to help you feel your best. Each Tulip Blooms product is carefully crafted with pure organic ingredients. No chemicals, no compromises, just clean, natural skincare you can trust. We know what matters to you: freedom, family, and a healthy way of life. That's why every purchase at tulipblooms.shop supports American jobs and a brand that values your freedom. Join the movement. Support a company that believes what you believe in. Visit tulipblooms.shop today. Tulip Blooms, natural skincare for patriots. Promo code Rambo for 10% off.
And I'm going to add something to that. Patrick Gunnels will be on with Dave, I believe, tonight. So go over to News Treason this evening to see Patrick Gunnels hang out with the News Treason guys, Dave and Mark. I was invited to go. I have yet to get my permission slip signed, but if I do, I will also be there. I got to ask the boss. But
Joe, I got to point out that the name Tulip Blooms is just so appropriate.
For what? What are you picking?
Well, you know, Orange Man Bad, that's the House of Orange.
Yeah.
There was the whole tulip craze in Holland. That's very Dutch. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Are we calling Patrick Gunnels an operator right now?
No, I would never do that.
I think Patrick's awesome. I love that dude. I don't care if he is. He's on my team.
There are no operators. Come on,
there's
man.
no operators. They would
There's
never
no
lie.
operators. I don't buy that either.
I got to say one thing here. I just got a text from a really good friend. Coin. So Dogecoin, right?
Yeah.
Coin. Coin. Counterinsurgency.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Todd, that's awesome. Todd was this guy that sent it to me.
That is a great connection.
Yeah, huge.
Department of Government Efficiency, Counterinsurgency. Are you stinking kidding me?
It's a great show, isn't it?
It's awesome. All right, hold on. So I don't think you guys saw this. I got to do one more and then we'll keep going. Okay. This one is very, very special to me, and you'll see why here in just a second. For anybody out there that has already hit me up on Cash App to do this one or sent me an email, we are going to sit down as a family tomorrow and go through and organize and start shipping out. Tomorrow is the day when we're going to start doing that with Nicholas. If you want to take part in this and support this little guy, make sure that you send me an address and you connect the Cash App to the email in some way so I know who sent what. Nicholas is turns out he's a little Nazi when it comes to this money. He really pissed me off yesterday, to be honest. He yelled at me about $3 he didn't get, and just let's watch the commercial. All right, guys, welcome to the impromptu, not really a commercial, kind of a commercial for my boy Kid Rambo here. I don't know if you guys see the t-shirt, but this is Kim's youngest child, her only son, what has quickly become my son's brother. And he surprised me tonight. So he actually, all the kids have been talked to about potentially starting a business, right? And Nicholas is the first one to take the bull by the horns and really push and push and push to try to start something. So do you want to tell everybody what it is you surprised me with tonight, you and your mom?
Yeah, we surprised him with buttons.
Okay. What other businesses have you been trying to do?
It would have been like stickers, making shirts, or like mowing lawns.
Okay. All right, my man. So when I got home tonight, I found out that he used some photos from the Reawaken tour, which is why I wanted to get this on the air for this show, because of our guest today. So here's the photo that he stole from me and put on buttons. So this is the infamous, at this point, as far as I'm concerned, photo of the awakened outlaw, the Joe Rambo, in front of a good, bad, and the ugly poster at the, again, infamous Alley Bar from the Reawaken tour. And Nicholas went and took this photo and put it on 5 buttons. Now, I just bought these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smiley face and the most epic Donald Trump photo ever to be taken, right? Who are you voting for?
I can't vote.
Who should your dad vote for?
Donald Trump.
Yeah, how many Donald Trump signs are in the front yard?
More than 20.
Okay, so these are the buttons. We have the original 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buttons that Nicholas has ever made. This is, how old are you, Nicholas?
10.
10 years old. And this is the first business you've ever started. Is there going to be more?
Yeah.
Are you going to be a little Don Trump Jr.?
I don't know.
All right. If anybody wants one of these buttons, look, name your price. How much did you charge me?
It was only supposed to be $3 a piece, but you bought it for $50.
You weren't supposed to tell everybody that part. I don't care what I spent. How much are the buttons?
$3.
Okay, so for $3, if you guys are interested in one of the first original 7 of the buttons that he, besides the 5 he gave to his Grammy, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly, the awakened outlaw, and Joe Rambo button. Just hit me up on Rambo and Frens .proton. What is my email?
I don't know. Shouldn't you know this?
Rambo and Frens @proton.me. If you're interested in a button, name your price. Nicholas owes what? How much more do you owe on your machine? Now
$50.
You owe $50 more.
Mm-hmm.
So he owes $50 more. I bought these buttons to pay for the first half. If anybody's interested, please hit us up. Awaken Outlaw. If you really want one, buddy, I love you. I'll send you the best one for free. Tell AO you love him.
Bye.
Because he's awesome, and you're freaking making money off his face, bro. All right, much love. Continue the show. We'll see you next time. All right, let's watch it. Yeah. So Nicholas
That
is
was
doing,
awesome.
Yeah,
right.
that's so cool.
So he I wanted to put this out there. There's way more than 5 buttons now. He has gone to town, and he can put anything you want on a button. He can't charge $3 if you want to put something custom on there. I told him make it 6. If you want to send a photo that you want on a button, you can also do it that way. If you make it $6, he'll put whatever you want on the button, right? He can go print it out and he can do it specifically for whoever. But yeah, he's trying to do something. I think it's cool.
That's great.
That's cool. I'm gonna get a couple custom ones. I want one with Walken's face on there.
I'm in. All right. Yeah, just make sure if you guys send me the email, be very specific so that it's as easy as possible. I didn't think this through when I did it. Lots of people want buttons. So it's gotten a little bit out of control, to be honest.
What's the email again? A couple people are asking, and I want
it is Rambo and Frens. That Friends is an FRENS, just like the show. Rambo and Frens at proton.me. And the Cash App's the same thing. So Cash App always uses that cash symbol at the front, and it's Rambo and Frens, FRENS. No I, no D, just like the Anna.
I put that in the chat if you want to quote it on the screen so people can see it.
Absolutely. So
if I got it right, if I got it wrong, don't quote it. There you go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Rambo and Frens at proton.me.
Yeah, not Protron.
Did I say Protron?
Protron too. I love that movie.
Yeah, it is a good movie. But yeah, it's proton.me.
There, I put another one up there for you to quote if you want to do that.
Proton.me to order your buttons. Thank you very much.
Sapioplex is an idiot. who typed that?
It wasn't me.
Did you know he reads everything on the teleprompter?
He's a jerk.
That's funny.
I said somebody had asked a question a while back, and I don't remember who. It was like maybe it's R. Shannon, I think. And you said, well, what about the devolution theory and how would that fit with all this? I don't know how they're gonna announce this, or how they're gonna reveal what they're gonna reveal exactly.
It might fit perfectly.
Yeah, it very well could. I mean, I think we're truly watching a movie right now.
Yeah.
Like whether Donald Trump was commander in chief or Joe Biden was actually commander in chief. I mean, it could go either way.
They can spin this web however they spin it, and almost all of the population will believe what they see.
Isn't that crazy? Don't you feel like you're like watching the Matrix movie unfold?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
It's the weirdest thing. Like I go into work and I listen to them talk, and I'm like, man, it's such a surreal feeling to sit here like and watch them just play with the movie in conversation.
I think one of the points of this is to point out how odd the human behavior around this is to the people who think more deeply. Because if you actually sit back and analyze this whole thing, like John and I have spent, thousands of hours, you can't come away with it believing that what you're seeing is actually not just constructed for the consumption of the masses. And so that in itself is an attribute that's being pointed out to the deeper thinkers. And that's why I mentioned what I mentioned before, is because I think woven into this whole thing at a very, very huge and deep level is enough information for the really kind of brilliant people to be able to parse their way out of all of the levels of deception.
And we've talked about this before, but I would love to hear you guys' comments again as we're further along in this process. But most people can't grasp what's happening because they perceive it, like go ahead and talk about the assassination as being a presented event, controlled presentation of a very real threat. That cannot be perceived by somebody that's buying into what's playing out in front of them. They would then say, you're telling me that was fake or staged. And that gives a whole different perception from what I just stated before. So most people will say, if Donald Trump is in charge of what's happening right now, then the blood is on his hands. And I have to argue all the time, and this is what I want to hear your guys' comments on. I don't believe that things are getting worse. I believe that things are being exposed, and there is a much different perception for those two statements. There is no blood on Donald Trump's hands when what's happening is an exposure operation of very real threats that were upon us already. What's happening is you are being shown, not told. Just like Trump said.
Here's another lens to look at it through. Is there blood on Anthony Hopkins' hands because of Hannibal Lecter?
I knew you would get way smart about this. Go ahead, keep going.
Well, who wrote the scripts to the Hannibal Lecter movies? Does that make Anthony Hopkins bad? The question is, why did he play the part? Was he doing a good thing or a bad thing by playing the part? So then if you look at all these characters we see with the Diddy parties and, Nancy Pelosi's husband's boyfriend who just got sentenced to 1 billion years in prison for having a little hammer party. It's hammer time. Like that whole story with Pelosi's husband is totally unbelievable, right?
You can't touch this.
So did Pelosi's husband actually do those things that everybody's running around and saying he did because the media told me so? These are the same people who will tell you that you shouldn't trust the media.
Yep.
And then they go tell you exactly what the media said. Those people are not thinking.
I have another great example of that. Today, I posted the Amish guy that's out there voting in Lancaster, getting interviewed before, and I brought up that Kim and I went to see Elon in his town hall the other day, and one of the Amish people told Kim that COVID was the first virus to ever be spread digitally, and I thought it was a brilliant statement. Yeah, an Amish guy said
Thinks he must be shunned because how did he know it was spread digitally? They're not supposed to use electronics. And that guy that was interviewed, the Amish guy, was he on camera?
He was.
Was he really Amish? Was he really Amish or was he an operator?
Well, right.
Okay,
so
let me point out that like I've mentioned that John and I want to help teach people how to get past this cognitive block, which prevents people from seeing through all the bullshit. Okay, so one of the things I did, when I say that John and I did a lot of research, one of the things I did, I went with my family and did a tour of this Amish community south of where we are here in Florida. And it was a great tour. And I ended up in a parking lot. I had a conversation with, it turns out, one of the high elders of that Amish community. He was going to work to make pies. Okay. And I talked to this guy and I said, hey, would you be willing to sit down and have a conversation for a few hours? I'll come back. Just, let me know when. And he gave me his phone number, which is really interesting because Amish people are supposed to use technology, right? Well, they do. Anyway, that's not what I was told. So I went down for a day and I spent hours in this guy's living room. Okay, spoiler alert, he rides an electric bicycle around. And if you know anything about electronics, it's using a BLDC motor, which requires a computer to drive it. He's driving a computer around. And so I asked him about that. I said, it's really interesting that you guys use electric bicycles because aren't you supposed to not use technology? And he said, well, it's kind of more about common sense. Right? So I'm sitting there looking and I'm not gonna mention any more of the absurdity that I saw, but don't believe what you hear about different people until you've actually seen for yourself what's really going on. Mm-hmm. The Amish community has a worldwide intelligence network that is amazing. It is amazing. Every Amish community on the planet is up to date on what's going on with every Amish community on the planet on a very regular basis. How do they do that? Technology.
They got barns full of money too.
They do conference calls. I mean, they're not stupid.
And so conspiracy theorists.
Right. But if somebody told you, oh, the Amish aren't allowed because of their religion to use technology. Okay, well, just go spend the time and find out if that's true. Guess what? It isn't. They have phones. If an emergency happens, they got a cell phone in the outhouse. They'll go call 911.
Listen to this. It's short.
Well, I think it's obvious that Trump's way ahead in the polls, and I think if he don't win, there's something went wrong. But that's just me. I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist. The last 4 years ain't no good. I don't know. It looks to me like things are getting pretty bad, but maybe not. I think God's in control. And I think God has a plan. You never know what he's got. What's going to happen?
So, okay, I'll mention one other thing. So, tools. Go onto YouTube and look up Amish using a sawmill, and you'll find a diesel sawmill with a bunch of Amish guys cutting up logs. How is that possible? That's not what I was told. Well, because they use common sense. So the reason I'm pointing this out is because how many people on the street will actually go spend the time that I spent to find out what the truth about the Amish philosophy is and their behavior, rather than just believe the bullshit you see online? I know this is true. I've seen it with my own eyes. Anybody else who chooses to spend that effort will find out you've been lied to.
Well, that was the end of my point with saying that the Amish guy told Kim that it was the first disease to ever be spread digitally. I then had somebody in my comment section on Twitter start dropping all of these articles, right? WAPO and all these things. The Amish are dying and COVID this and the CDC.gov. I was like, bro, you're proving my point. You're proving his point. You're citing all of this propaganda, and I'm telling you we spoke to an Amish man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, so you're telling me you have no proof? I'm like, bro, the Amish guy who lives in a very tight-knit community is a better source than the CDC.gov. And if you can't understand that, you're not grasping my point.
Yeah. Also, my understanding of the Amish isn't just based on what the elder told me, which was a lot of stuff. It was based on what I saw in his home, what I saw him do. Like, I saw that with my own eyes. There's no way that didn't really happen. Right? So I don't have to worry about it being propaganda. I mean, I saw the guy get on an electric bike and drive it. And he's an elder. It's not just like some Amish guy that was breaking the rules. He's one of the main guys in that community.
You know what else Amish do really well? They make unbelievable moonshine. I've had this on my desk for 12 years. I was in Ohio in 2012 deer hunting, and they charged like $20 for one of these. And so I shipped a bunch of it home.
They do not like regulations.
Yeah,
they do not want the government involved in their business.
The Amish communities are amazing, by the way. I have unbelievable respect. This Amish elder was an absolute good person. I mean, just amazing. We have different worldviews, but the way they raise their communities is just golden.
Yep. I mean, let's go a little further on this whole idea of believing what you see out there. This is going to be really extreme, what I'm going to say, but it'll at least illustrate kind of where I'm coming from. I believe that the internet and the stuff that you see in your browser and the stuff you see in your feed is individually curated.
Yep. I agree 100%.
For you.
And it isn't just a money-making marketing strategy to sell ads.
No.
It's the entire system is set up to do this.
That's probably a bigger discussion for another day.
Or a year.
Yeah. It's
I got another one to show you.
I think they're a lot weirder than people think.
Before we move completely along from this, I remembered.
I'm going to say one other thing real quick. If you guys are curious about why I believe this, why Paul believes this, a really good series of books to read is Isaac Asimov's Foundation series.
Yep.
Read them, and if you're curious, if you're not curious, then don't. But
yeah, also there's the surface level story that you read in this 2,000 pages of 7 books, I think it is. And that's not where the good information is. The good information is in being able to metaphorically map what's in these books into the timeline of history and what's going on now, because the books tell you what really happened and what's happening. But it's metaphorically, it's in the language of the birds. And this is something that John and I want to help teach people how to interpret, because that's where the truth lies. It's on the whispering wind.
Along with the warm smell of colitas.
Right. And the wind doesn't blow underwater. Watch the water.
You want to talk about Dr. Seuss sometime? We could do that.
Ren and Stimpy.
I love the Ren and Stimpy. I love the Ren and Stimpy thing. Hold on, before we move on, I want you guys to see this before we get completely away from the Amish thing. You guys got to see these 2 clips. This one is hysterical if you haven't seen it.
Kamala Harris, that you don't like what she's doing, or Joe Biden, the people that are currently running the country, is there things about what they're doing that you don't like?
Yeah, they're involved with the deep state.
They are involved with the deep state. You're right about that. You guys are well informed. I have to say, Kamala Harris, that you don't.
What?
So several weeks ago, I came to the conclusion, because of this language of the birds interpretation, what happens is you end up with a broad knowledge base of all this different literature and movies and songs and things, and you end up making more and more connections. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it has to do with language play, a lot of it. And I actually think at this point, the reason that, like, who chose the term deep state? Nobody knows. It just happened one day and everybody's calling it the deep state, right? Why? They don't pick these terms accidentally.
No.
I think the deep state is the deep state of being asleep.
Mm-hmm.
In order to overcome the deep state, you have to wake up. That's why they call it the deep state.
That reminds me, look, Make America Great Again. What was Joe Biden's? Build back better. Well, you can't build back better unless you completely destroy it first. and now we're not going back. It's literally a sentence.
Yeah, build back better is also to, and it also, if you write it in lowercase, looks like 666. So they're going, ooh, Satanist bad guys.
See, it's the Satanists.
Yeah, it's all those baby eaters.
Last one. This one's 1 minute.
She's going to give the $25,000 down for a first-time home buyer. That'll never happen. Anybody that thinks that'll happen is a fool. It's the same as the free college. You think about, how about our homes? How about the ones we purchased? Excuse me. Where's my $25,000? And that's why it'll never happen. For anybody that believes that'll happen, it will never happen. I guarantee it. And if it would happen, it would inflate the home prices even more. It's crazy. If anybody thinks that she'll turn things around, she was there for 3.5 years. She had every opportunity. She's making all these promises. But the question is, why wait? Why are we waiting? She's talking about, she's been talking about the border, how Trump turned down the border policy that they've been trying to pass. Why'd she wait for 3 years to try to promote a policy? Why not right away? Why did she remove some of the policies Trump had in place? Seriously, this is kind of craziness we have. There's too many people in America who can't think for themselves. And they believe like CNN, ABC, MSNBC, things like that. You got to look. You got to do your research.
Dude, the Amish are on fire.
Yeah, can I point something out about the Amish, which is actually really startling? The beards. Okay, do you know how the rules work for their beards and why
Once
the
they
beards
get married, they have to grow their beards out, correct?
You have to have a beard when you're married, because no Amish woman will cheat with a guy with a beard. So the single guys are all clean shaven. And then when you're committed to somebody, you have a beard. That's how it works. You can't like shave your beard and go do something naughty and then grow your beard back the next day. It's a beautiful system. It's a beautiful system.
And how about this? I think this is so cool. I didn't really know about it when I was 19. I wish I would have, because I would have gone and sought him out. Rumspringa.
Yeah, yeah. I would have sought him out.
That would have, for sure. I mean,
some
talk
Amish
about
girls.
that's experimentation.
Yeah,
that would have been fun.
So
people that go ahead.
This elder it's near Sarasota in Florida. The elder told me that their reuptake rate after that experimentation period is 99%. 99% of the young people come back. Now, he could have been lying. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised, because the way they raise their kids, they have a very realistic view of reality. And so they tell the kids, yeah, you're going to see all this stuff. And they tell them what you're going to see. And then the kids go out and see it and go, wow, the world's really screwed up. I like being on the farm better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I believe they do have a high rate of people that return. They do lose some.
Yeah, I had heard 96% before that, but he said it was 99. So I don't know if he's just, promoting the Amish culture or what.
Yeah, that's what that is. For anybody that's not aware, they have a period of time where they go out into and deal with the English, as they call it, and they experience the world. And
yeah, they can do whatever they want.
It's like a free pass.
Go do some rails.
Yeah, and they typically go running back home because they're like exactly what you said. It's nuts.
Well, because what they see is horrific. They see people being unbelievably stupid, and they go, "I don't want to live my life that way."
Well, you know why? I mean, think about it, right? So Karl Marx said the greatest threat to communism is the nuclear family. We go through a process of programming or deprogramming from Christianity or whatever religion you might, be, to this point where we are constantly bombarded with Satanism and halftime shows and music and wet AP, right? That song that we shouldn't have played on the show the last time you guys were on. But it's just continuous with the propaganda that is destroying morals and society and the nuclear family. But these children are brought up in a good, wholesome house. Typically, I'm sure that there's some dysfunction everywhere, right? Yeah. But they grow up knowing who God is.
Right.
And then they get released out into see the chaos and they're like, whoa.
Right. And they see how peaceful and productive the Amish life is. And then they go see shit show and they say, I don't want that. Mm-hmm. Which is a really, constructive way to do it. So, I mean, I love the Amish. I couldn't do it. Actually, an interesting set of research to do is if you want to find out how the Amish started. It was Martin Luther nailed his letter to the door of the church and then went off and started the Mennonites. And the Amish are a splinter group that split off the Mennonites because the Mennonites weren't radical enough. Mm-hmm. So the Amish said, you guys are interacting with the outside world too much. We're going to be even more of hermits.
Did you ever see Amish Mafia?
No.
That was one of my favorite shows ever.
No, but I love Weird Al's song, Amish Paradise.
Yes, that's a good one too.
Papa Smoochie in the chat mentioned that a little bit ago. I was like, yeah that's so coolio.
Yeah. I mean, basically all these things that we're saying are kind of a shit show with all the sex and the drugs and violence and stuff. That is, all of that stuff takes advantage of the weakness in people's ability to think practically.
Yep.
That's all it does. It suckers you into paying somebody to waste your own time.
Yeah. Well, the Amish are waking up in mass. They're showing up to Elon freaking town halls. They're showing up to vote. They're showing up in a county in Pennsylvania that's already gotten caught cheating. Right? And it goes right back to the first thing we were talking about. It's yet another one that's being exposed in real time.
You're kind of muffled.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say I'm muffled again?
Yeah, your audio is.
Wow. Am I better now?
Yes.
Okay.
Good as you can be, I guess, Joe.
It's all right.
I'm doing my best over here, guys.
Well, for you, yeah, you're good. That's
well, we have 1,500 people that have checked in on Twitter. We got almost 1,400 here right now, just on Rumble. And then, of course, there's the crew that's over there on YouTube, and Pill.net has been very active this morning. Thank you for all of the raids. Who did I forget over here? Redeem Patriot with a cookie. What is Trump's secret? I wonder what Trump's secret is. Did you guys hear that comment the other day?
Yeah.
Any more of that kind of stuff is just, it's a soundbite in the information space. And I try to ignore almost all of it, because you're watching a show, it's going to work out the way it works out, and that's all details. So once you understand the macro view of where this is going, you just kind of don't care about how it goes. It's going to be all right. It's exactly like what General Flynn says. Control what you can control and let someone else deal with the rest of it.
Well,
it doesn't mean you shouldn't try to control things, but don't bite off more than you can chew.
I saw firsthand at that Reawaken tour that General Flynn is the tip of the spear at motivating the masses. Mm-hmm. It becomes abundantly clear when you meet him in person and you watch with the perspective that I have, and I did it with Dave, right? I did it with Dave from News Treason. We stood back literally away and looked at it with the perspective we have and watched the show unfold for 3 days straight.
Did you notice the demographics of the Great Awaken tours? Like what percentage of people had what, were from which age groups and which kind of political bent and what they thought was important?
Are you asking me what the majority was?
Well, like if you look at the VIP section, those are people with a lot of extra income. And demographically, like you think you'd go to these events and you'd see a whole bunch of Q people, right? There are Q people there, but most of the audience is not Q people.
Right.
No,
they're MAGA.
We were at the Great Awakening at Doral in October of, that was last year. God, that was crazy, a year ago. And I was wearing my "These People Are Stupid" shirt, and this lady had to be in her 70s, and she goes, she sees it and she goes, well, what who are these people? Like, she was almost indignant. Like, I go, are you familiar with Q? The letter? Never mind. I'm not going to get through to you.
Yeah, most of the audience is not well versed in trying to figure out exactly what's going on. They literally just want someone to tell them everything's going to be okay, and this is what you need to do.
And they want direction. What can I do to help? Right. And so that's why I have no ill will towards those people. I do understand this process has to take place because most people are like that.
Yeah,
I love them.
Yep.
Yes. And so that, like what John and I are talking about is how to be one of the not them, where you're actually figuring out what's going on and not just letting somebody guide you.
You know, it starts with understanding that there are only a few things you can know. Mm-hmm. I know that I exist. It's a pretty reasonable assumption that other people exist. Can't know that for sure. I could be a brain in a vat.
Yeah, it's an opinion.
Right. But there is information. So information exists.
Right.
That's all you know. Everything else needs to be in a
I don't know bucket.
I don't know bucket. Everything should be in an I don't know bucket. You see somebody saying, well, the statute says this. I see this all the time with certain people, that they put stuff out there and it is complete verficta clickbait, because
Smith-Mundt is a perfect example.
Exactly.
There are millions, tens of millions of people who think the Smith-Mundt Act in 1948 prohibited propaganda on U.S. citizens. It didn't.
Go read it. It is that simple. It is so simple to go read it.
Yeah, I went and visited the Amish. You go read the Smith-Mundt Act. Like, I mean, we'll all win.
Potato. But honestly, like, okay, so let's just talk Smith-Mundt for 10 seconds. Go read the act. There is nothing in there about propagandizing American people. All it does is basically say we're setting up this we're going to have it. Well, they eventually set it up under Eisenhower, but any propaganda that we use, that we create in the U.S. for distribution and dissemination to other countries, can't go back, can't be seen in the U.S.
Right.
That was it.
It doesn't say anything about produced for domestic.
Exactly. It said nothing about it. Yet you have You have big name pundits saying this all the time.
You have law firms with legal analysis on their website lying.
I'm guilty. I've used it. I've used it in posts. I've used it because it was information passed down. There's, seagrass doesn't just mean the masses that are the ones we were just talking. It happens
John and I
within
both
our
believe
community.
that too. And then John one day said, "You know what? I should read that." And he did. And he said, "You need to read this. It doesn't say that."
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's.
I think the thing is when you see somebody that you've trusted, and most of the stuff they say is probably true, but then you find something like that and you go, why are they saying that this is what Smith-Mundt says? Because it clearly doesn't. Well, they haven't gone to read the statute.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting analogy. So an example of this. So that in Isaac Asimov's Foundation, the first book, there's this guy that comes. He's this diplomat, and he thinks he's really well read and all knowing. And he's asked. They're trying to figure. It's about humanity, like millennia in the future. Where did humans actually start? That's the question. And the guy says, "Well, I've read all the experts on this," and one of the other guys was like, "Yeah, but why didn't you go back and find? You didn't go back and find primary sources? No. Why wouldn't you trust the experts?
Yeah, well, because they're lying to you.
What if they're lying? How would you know unless you go yourself and look at that stuff? And there's some things that you just can't know. Like, are there really all kinds of murders happening right now? Are there really people dying in certain places? I'm sure they are. But when I watch the news, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
I gotta tell you this because I think it's good mental chewing gum, and it's an admission on my part. Look, before we had the discussion, as we've had before, about the Smith-Mundt Act, I did read it, okay? And when I read it, I thought, maybe there's something I'm missing. I'm not understanding.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another part to it or more detail that I don't have in front of me, because everyone believes this thing. So I'm going along with the thing that everybody told me they believe. And I literally had a mental block, even though I read and didn't understand it to be what everybody was presenting it as.
Yeah. Yep. Don't give up.
And then we had the conversation and I went, but I know they're right.
Yeah, well, I think that's easy. That's an easy thing not easy thing. That's a common thing that happens because people are like, well, gee, I don't see where it says that anything about domestic stuff. But you know what? What do I know? I'm not a legislator. I know I'm not good at reading legal stuff. Yeah. So what do I really know? I'm going to trust them. In fact, I'm going to trust all these voices that have said for all my life, Smith-Mundt Act was meant to, prohibited propaganda, and Obama repealed it.
Right.
No.
Yeah, the whole thing is bullshit. That whole narrative, the whole narrative about Obama repealing it or changing it or whatever, it's all a distraction. It's just not true. How can everybody be walking around and be wrong? It's because they're not thinking. They're trusting someone else. And and this is what John and I have found about, well, most of history, is that that's actually how the world works. Is most of it isn't actually true the way you think it is.
Yep.
Because when you dig into this stuff, you say, well, wait a second. This stuff about Satanism and how the Satanists run the world, that actually, if you think it through logically, that can't make sense.
No.
That can't make sense. And it's really easy to see why. I mean, here's a simple example. They have one rule: do what thou wilt. Right? And that's the only rule. That is the whole of the law. That's what they say. Oh, and then they say, but then there's another rule that we have to tell everybody in code what we're going to do to them before we do it. Well, where's the committee?
Retribution?
Yeah, where's the committee that decides whether or not your coding was too abstract so nobody could understand it, or whether it was too direct so we're going to out ourselves? Like, do you get punished for screwing up your coded messages that you're going to do to people? This is absurd. And these people are running around saying, these are the people who run the world. I know it. No, you don't. It doesn't even make sense. These people, if they were really that evil, they'd kill each other and they wouldn't reproduce because they'd be too busy killing their babies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where Beautiful Black Sky comes in. Okay, so I've thought about this. This is one of the ways, because I do overanalyze everything. But this is one of the ways that I have found there to be much reality in the idea of God and Jesus and religion, Christianity as we know it, I should say. Because why would anyone care what is going on 3,000 years from now? Right? Beautiful black sky. The idea of the black sky thought process would be 100 years out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in 100 years, I'm not going to be here. Why would I ever run an evil plot or good plot to? There's no way that people have that thought process, as far as I can figure it, without there being a battle between truly good and truly evil. This is well beyond generations. And so if that's the case, then there must be a battle that's raging beyond one generation. Does that make sense?
Yes, although I think there is another explanation, and it goes into philosophy. What is the point of life? Like, when you decide, what am I going to do? What am I going to stand for? What effect do I want to cause? As soon as you start thinking multi-generationally, like my kids, my grandkids, their grandkids, how many generations out do you think? And then if you look at Descartes, John earlier was saying there's very few things you can know. And that's an expression of Descartes, where I think that therefore I am. You can know that life exists because you exist and you're alive, right? And so you can ponder that the most sacred thing is the fact that we find ourselves in this universe and life is there. And so it must be worth preserving, because if it wasn't there, you wouldn't be here thinking about it. And so maybe the highest calling is to preserve humanity overall, regardless of what threats could possibly be there. The threats might be tens of thousands of years in the future. But to work to preserve humanity is very selfless, because you're not going to be around to see the results of what you've done. It's kind of the holy grail.
Right.
Like if I can help someone's, 100th generation great grandkids not die because I invent some device that makes algae more efficient at producing oxygen on a planetary colonization trip, I've helped humanity. That's way better than getting a high score on Xbox.
Oh, but it's so much fun to just play video games all day.
I'll get high.
How do I? KDD,
Let's watch the game.
Hold on, I need to ask. So I made 4 people moderators on the show. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing. KDD, how do I take down that pin message? Because I can't see the Rumble rant behind it. If somebody could take that down, I'd appreciate it. I don't know how to get rid of it. But I only want to get rid of it. I appreciate the idea. Hit the like button. Thank you very much for doing that. Just take that down so I can read the Rumble rant, because I want to go through these while we. Thank you. While I still have your guys' attention, because some of them are relevant to the conversation, and it stinks to read them at the end and then not even know what they're talking about. And the most recent one came in is somebody that wanted to say something about what you guys were talking about. So, News Treason, Dave over there with a $10 Rumble rant. He said, "I like girls." That's an inside because we keep passing the same $20 or $10 back and forth. Like, I go over to his show and we just so, and yeah. Anyway, so PJW with the $2 Rumble rant. I've been screaming number 34 to absolute. I have dreamt the number every day for 2 weeks. Mind blown. Boom. It's kind of a big one. There's not too many that it's going to take a bunch of time. $1 Rumble rant from Genie, 1962. Only like 3% of the people kind of piece it together, but not enough info to confirm anything 100%. See what I mean? I don't know what she was talking about now. Sorry, but thank you for the rant. I apologize. I try to keep up with them, guys, but it's first of all, I'm super grateful that you do it. So I'd like to make sure I at least call you out. But at the same time, it's hard to break into the conversation with them all the time. So Aaron Pauling with $10 Rumble rant. Whenever JFanon and Sapioplex are on, it reminds me to use at least 17% more of my brain. And that has made all the difference. For me, love you too. Joe, thank you so much for this. Hugs all.
Yeah,
I like how Aaron thinks, though. Aaron, you're in the chat a lot, and I mean, cool. Thank you.
we talked about this a little bit pre-show, but my personal opinion, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong, and there can also be multiple meanings to this. But I think when people talk about ascension, I think what the people who are in control of this show are doing is they're trying to get people to ascend their thinking as much as possible, and to actually think for themselves as much as possible, because that's what's necessary in the future. And this cognitive block that John and I have identified is something we think is one of the most important things to get people to the level of thinking where they're truly individual thinkers, like almost like divergent thinkers. There's that movie Divergent. You know, there's lots of reasons, I won't go into it, but basically, if you're truly thinking for yourself, then you're mistrusting all of the information you're getting in front of you by default, and only believing what makes sense to you. And that's not what the average person does. The average person believes almost everything they're told, and then that forms their worldview.
We're programmed that way from kindergarten.
Well,
Even
it's also
that.
it's also a reproduction strategy, because your brain naturally wants to conserve energy. So in a tribal situation, go back 15,000 years, you got hunter gatherers, right? Most of the tribe can just listen to the elders because the elders are smarter. And if they do what the elders say they should do, then everybody's going to survive just fine. But now, fast forward, we have civilization, we have a shitstorm of information flying around, and there's the opportunity for people to deceive other people and get them to believe stupid shit is just through the roof. And so that's what we see happening.
Okay. I got something. I want you to address that, because
you missed a Rumble rant though.
The 17 I love lamp. What does that mean?
That's from Anchorman.
Yeah. Oh.
I love lamp.
I know what you're talking about.
I love carpet.
Yeah.
Brick, you're just saying you love different things that you see in the room.
$17 Rumble rant from the guy on the screen. Here's first I'll make an observation, and I would like for you to address it, Paul and John, because you look at this in such a unique way. But I think when people are doing this, just like my example I brought up just a minute ago with the Smith-Mundt Act, you are not aware that you're doing it. There is zero awareness.
That's because your brain is conserving energy.
There's literally levels to this, this ascension. There's literally levels to critical thought processes. And I promise you, at that moment in time, I thought I was thinking completely critical. I promise you, I thought I had free thought.
Yeah. Well, you do, except you're not aware of the things that your brain is ignoring. Everybody is ignoring almost all of the information that's coming at them through their senses. Right. That's why, I don't know if anybody's seen the series Brain Games. 10 or 15 years ago, there was a series on TV called Brain Games, and they basically showed you how your brain fails. And this is what magicians are experts at. It's the field called mentalism, where they become experts at understanding how your brain ignores things. And so by doing that, you can know in advance how to trick somebody into thinking they've seen something that they haven't, or into making a decision that you've preordained for them. You can show them the right stimulus in advance and have them be unaware of it, and then get them to make the decision you want them to make. Right? Mm-hmm. Because people aren't aware that information can be coming into your brain, but you're ignoring it. You think, but it's still setting a pattern up in your brain. So this is all, mentalism essentially is the art of advanced propaganda. So putting this message out, like we're talking about, like why in the world would the Biden administration hire Sam Brinton? It's political suicide to have a guy who steals luggage in there, right?
Oh, you're not talking about his dress.
No, which I'm quite fond of. But
I like the radiation one.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, was that an organic thing, or did someone plan to do this absurd thing? And I would say someone planned it. So now try to decode, why would you plan that? Why would you do that? Mm-hmm. Right? And the reason is because they want people to notice it, and you're only going to notice it when you start thinking for yourself. So they've put out thousands of things that are absurd to get, like Cardi B did the first interview with Biden in the 2020 election. And for the 2 months prior, you have WAP as the #1 song. That's absurd. That would never happen in a presidential election. So they put that there so people would notice it and go, wait a minute, what am I actually watching? The whole information space is set up so that you will notice that it's a show. Q is out there telling you that it's a show. But the only way you'll notice is if you started thinking for yourself. That's the intent.
Here's how possibly, this just occurred to me. Here's how this might actually flip. Okay. What if when this thing, first of all, the ride never ends, but this current Selden crisis that we're in right now, that's
read the Foundation series.
But read Foundation, definitely read Foundation series. Where we're at right now, when we get to the other side of whatever this crisis is, we would say, a stolen election and bullshit, Biden and all that stuff. Whenever we get to the other side, people are going to be able to look back on all of the weird shit that happened. I think a lot of these events, people aren't even noticing. Like Paul was saying. So Sam Brinton gets in there, and everyone goes, "What the hell? What about this guy?" So many of these things I think are planned to be really visible 2020 hindsight.
Yeah.
And so when something weird happens, think about it and go like, okay, yeah, how would this?
Another one for you. I got another great one for you. Everybody knows about it. Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah.
How did that ever get out of the White House?
Yeah, the president with DNA,
the special sauce on the dress and the cigars. I mean, that's absurd. That was put there so you can look back and say, that was set up.
Yeah,
that was propaganda. That was
honestly, I think it was put out there to distract from the fact that he killed a few of his interns.
Well, that's the narrative that's
maybe
being given. But the thing is, there's all sorts of ways to distract without having cigars and blue dresses with special sauce.
Which is funny because wasn't he wearing a blue dress in Epstein's painting?
He was.
Yes. Okay. So there's another media tie. Here's another one that in the early 90s, the Denver International Airport commissioned a statue of Blucifer, which was installed in the 2000s, of this giant photorealistic horse with engorged balls. and so every international traveler who goes in and out of that airport is driving by this thing that no mayor would ever allow in a city like Denver.
Yep.
It's not just that was a bad choice or somebody had, too many cocktails. It's there to be absurd. Yep. So that you look at it and say, how come nobody noticed how stupid this show was?
Well, actually, I would say that in hindsight, it will be absurd that we're going to go, how did we ever believe that? But it's also useful to the show because people go, see, the Satanists are in charge. See, look at all the artwork in the DIA.
But in hindsight, everybody's going to look back and say, everybody believed it was Satanists? This is absurd. Why would the Satanists pull off Monica Lewinsky?
I've basically made a living off of this just in a 4-year span. Just the Biden, if you constantly remind people what happened 6 months ago in the Biden administration, people are like, whoa, that can't be real.
Yeah, it is.
And we lived through it and people believed it.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of examples.
Gator Rob just put a Rumble rant. Too many people react to what they see and experience Yes, that's part of the problem too, is that you see a Sam Brinton and your emotions engage and go, God, I can't believe he's got a tranny. How terrible is this?
Ooh, he's got a tranny.
And then the emotions have engaged, and guess what? Your cognitive brain, to forget about it.
Yeah. Having an emotional reaction is not thinking. There is no thinking involved. There is no reason.
Nope.
It's just an emotional biochemical reaction that goes in your head and you go, ah.
There's another lesson here that I bring up all the time, but I have to bring it up here now as well. This should also, if you think it all the way through, give you the ability to love and respect someone else's process. Right? So when someone else is emotionally tied to something that you wholeheartedly agree with so much that it makes you feel a certain way, we need to learn to control those emotions and just understand that they are at a different spot in their process And even if you never agree, it doesn't matter.
And Joe, like I mentioned earlier, I talked to this liberal woman who was very, very intelligent last night. Anybody who's behind Trump would listen to what she said and get really angry. And I didn't. I know why she has those views. She actually has good reasons to have those views, given the information she has allowed into her thought process. The problem is she hasn't figured out that she needs to think these things through. And this goes for both sides of the aisle. I'm not just saying, oh, the liberals are wrong, but there's good reasons why they're wrong. No, a lot of the people on the right are screwed up in exactly the same way too. Yeah. Everybody across the spectrum is largely wrong about a lot of the things they believe, and they all need to take a step back and start thinking through everything they think they know, like the Smith-Munt Act. Everybody on the right is wrong about the Smith-Munt Act. How can that be?
To me, I allow myself to be emotional about what I believe should be the core belief system, the core goals, rather. Freedom, children, family, friends, God, country, right? There may be a few more to add to that list, but those are I allow myself. I am consciously, emotionally tied to my core beliefs. Otherwise, I am okay with you disagreeing with me. Yeah. You want to threaten my freedom? We're going to have it out. If you want to talk about the details of what's going on in humanity and debate different issues, then that's a conversation amongst friends, and I'm cool with it. I think that that's how everybody needs to get. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of stuff in the chat. I would point out, somebody mentioned something about Vince Foster, and that was for sure. We don't really know. You don't really know that. I mean, again, all the stuff that we've taken to be true, and that, oh, for sure this happened, for sure that person died.
Yeah. You don't know that.
You don't know that. And it could all be curated for a certain thing. I for one, believe that white hats have been in charge for a pretty long time. And then people say, well, 9/11 and Vietnam, and how did that stuff happen?
Keep going back in history.
Trolley tests are a bitch. And if you're running the world and you know you need to get humanity to a certain point, and the only way to do it is to serve up spoonfuls of shit one after another, well, is it worth the people that die as a result of getting to the destination? Because once you get to the destination, you save all of humanity. You save billions.
Yeah. So I'll use this opportunity to point something out that I've said before, but I think the spine of the current macro operation we see happening right now, which, by the way, it's a show that never ends. It's going to keep going on. But I think the spine of what we're watching right now is all about eliminating organized crime.
Yeah.
In 10, 20 years, organized crime starts turning into a mental disorder. Because why would you do it if you knew you were going to get caught? So you look at all these wars and you say, oh, how many people lost their lives? How many people lose their lives because of organized crime? How much damage does it cause by people having, a certain percentage of their livelihood taken away from them through their lives? It's really huge. But if you could eliminate organized crime from the world, how many lives is that worth? These are the scale of decisions that the people who run the world are contemplating, and they have to make these decisions. And I'm kind of happy they're doing what they're doing because, well, even though the world looks like a giant toilet, which I think is intentional, what we're going into is going to be so good that people on the street have no comprehension of how good this is about to get.
I want to point out one thing that Q said multiple times. You can't tell people, you must show them.
Yep.
What if that isn't just about the Q plan? Because I think this goes.
I think it is. I think
this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Let me elaborate about this, John. So
like 9/11.
Yeah.
Well, maybe something like that had to happen to wake people up, to wake a certain portion of people up.
Zoom forward 100 years and look back on this period. Right? If organized crime has been obliterated, it's just gone. Right? Because why would you do it when you know you're going to get caught? Everyone 100 years from now will look back at this period, and because it's so bad now, there is a huge historical black mark that is like the dark ages of crime, right? So it serves as a lesson to the future people to never let any of that shit happen, because look how bad it got. If they don't make it appear bad, they can't have that hindsight view in the future.
Mhm.
So they create the hindsight view now so that it benefits humanity in the future.
Another way to look at what I just talked about, 9/11, for example. Let's say that the the White Hats took control sometime around Eisenhower. I think it was before that, but they maybe took control, but they still had all these criminal elements, and it's worldwide.
And they had tanks.
They had and missiles. So
and limpet mines.
I've always loved that name, limpet. Limpet biscuit. Anyway, so you have these criminal networks that need to be mapped, and they need to figure out where all these people are. So maybe the bad shit's going to happen, and the White Hats kind of have to let it happen so that they can find out and figure out exactly where the bad folks are. I mean, that's another more gentle way to look at it, to go, well, at least the blood's not on the White Hat hands.
Yeah, it can also be a big structure, and the good guys at the top say, okay, bad guys that we've been curating as honeypots to catch the real psychos, now you have to stop being criminals. And the criminals say, well, we don't like that idea because that's all we know how to do. And the people at the top say, well, tough shit for you. And the people at the bottom say, screw you, we're starting a war. We think we can win.
You guys have brought up so many micro examples in my head, I can't even collect my thoughts. Here's two. My boss just came back from Europe, Germany, I think he said, and he said he was driving on the Autobahn. And I think this is a good example of people gaining more freedom by being observed. What's the
watched?
Yeah, when they're watched, their behavior changes. We've all been taught that since we were kids.
Apparently, if you're going over a certain mile per hour, I believe it was in the 80s, you are then fully responsible for any accident that you are involved in, period. They have cameras that ensure that you are a safe distance from the car in front of you. And they are very tight about this. I'm telling you secondhand what he told me.
Yeah.
But because everyone, if you get passed on the right, the person that got passed could potentially get in trouble.
Yeah.
So what happens is you are given the freedom to drive basically whatever speed you want, with the idea that you will be penalized should you hold up traffic by being in the fast lane, should you drive too closely and make things too dangerous, or if you crash, you are responsible. So he said everyone's going mind-numbing speeds, and it's completely organized.
Yeah. Very safe.
Well, plus, if you look at how long it takes to get a German driver's license, I mean, we need that shit over here now.
All of Europe. Like in Holland, I think the average cost is like $20,000 or $24,000 just to go through the school you have to go through to be allowed to take the test. And the average number of times you have to take the test is 3 times, because the first 2 times you fail it. So
I don't know if I'd agree with charging that much for it, but there are so many.
Yeah, it's like $6,000 or $8,000
idiots
to take the school.
For
People fail.
dumb cups. I don't know.
Here's another example of something I think may have, and this is going to hurt people's feelings, right? I figured we'd come across something. Honestly, it makes me wonder if it's all fugazi just to affect us emotionally, all of it, right? But here's one example. I can't remember the name of the darn kids, but you guys I'm sure one of you two will remind me. The 2 English kids that talked about my dad. We're going to no longer touch ourselves. We're going to no longer touch each other. We're no longer going to stab or kill the babies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I can't spit out where they're from off the top of my head. I've been trying.
It was from Britain, and it was from many years ago. But it was videos that surfaced to underscore the whole Satanist thing.
Those kids are still with their father. Somebody in the chat remind me. There's a name for where they were. Those kids are still with their father today.
How could that happen in the real world?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if
is it all an operation?
Yeah.
Is it real?
Hampstead. Yes, thank you very much, Candace Wagner. It's the Hampstead kids.
Yeah, I saw that stuff, and I would just ask the question: is that even real? I mean,
That's
look at
what I'm questioning.
Look at what's happened with the astronauts on the Challenger that blew up, right? And now they've located that they all had twins, and they're in university jobs and stuff like this.
Right?
Like, was that real? You see movies where kids say things like that. Why couldn't they do it and make it look like a newscast or an interview? Or if you go find out what their address is and go there, are they actually there? Does the address even exist? And then, you know what? You might go there and find them, and they might tell you, yes, this is totally real. And you still don't know if they're lying to you. Now, I'm not saying it's not real. What I'm saying is you can't know. When you go watch a magic show, you see all sorts of things that are impossible. But you know it's a magic show, so you say, oh, that was a good show. I know it's all fake. Okay, when you see the propaganda, you say, well, that's not a magic show, so I know it's real. You don't know that. What if it is a magic show?
Right. Yeah, I got to point something out. CPA Deb, disagree. We have a right to travel in any manner we want. If we cause harm, we pay. Yeah, I don't disagree that we should be able to do that. But the problem is, just like with anything else, you have this great number of people that are probably too stupid to drive. I see them every frickin' day. I'm not kidding. Kidding. So we have this. Okay, well, we'll pay. So if the Somali woman is supposed to, if she causes an accident,
that's racist.
Because she's got the hijab on. I know she's Somali. She's got the I'm not going to say it. What I will say though is, does she have the money to pay if she kills somebody? Yeah. If she doesn't, should she be driving?
Which, by the way, this is all going to go away with flying cars. But
yep.
Traffic will be zero with flying cars. You won't even need a driver's license because it'll be all automated.
Yep. People can't even drive in a lane. How are they going to do up and down?
They're not. It's going to be automated. It's going to be full auto. That's why you have Tesla with self-driving cars out there, is to get people used to the idea that cars can drive better than you can.
Look at the shape of the Tesla truck. That's the least aerodynamic thing I've ever seen in my life. Remove the wheels.
Yeah, take the wheels off the bottom. It's a flying car. It's NLP. They're getting used to people. They're getting people used to the idea of the shape.
Gemstone lady, you think it's all exaggerated vax injured numbers? I think it's all exaggerated.
Not only that, but athletes falling on the field.
Yep.
Amplified to the moon.
Acting. They're sitting on a beach in Fiji, drinking an umbrella drink.
Well, the NFL dude was so obvious.
Yeah. The Buffalo Bill. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. I can't remember his name either.
Why would they fake this? To get you to realize that it's fake. To think for yourself.
One was blatant.
They don't need mainstream media anymore. They're just going to have the internet, and people are going to be talking to each other. It's still completely controlled. It's just going to be different.
I don't mean
Joe Rogan is now more popular than the news networks.
So that's another one. Here's one that gives. I wanted to move on because I got to start doing this before we end up really late. But they use Beyonce to draw a crowd under the impression that she's going to perform, and then they yank her stage left just to piss everyone off.
Yeah, they paid her $10 million to speak for 3.5 minutes. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just let her sing? There's no good reason for this. They're doing it to piss people off.
That was a funny one. I thought that was really fun. Even the garbage thing.
Yeah.
Narrative boomerang deployment engaged instantly.
Well, and every one of these controversial things, there's valid points on both sides. The liberal side has valid things they can point at. The right's going to think they're bullshit, but the left's going to think the right's point's bullshit. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the construction of the propaganda, it's not all one-sided. They're getting both sides to bitch at each other, and it's like chickens clucking. They're just going la, 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 when it really doesn't matter. Why aren't we talking about arresting criminals?
Yep.
We're talking about who called who a name.
Or there's the whole thing about, oh, the Jews are bad, or Jews. You know what? How about we just focus on the criminals?
Yeah.
There might be Jewish criminals, there might be black criminals, there are criminals of every single shade and creed and everything else.
And
fuck it. Why are we divisive like that? Because it serves a purpose right now for the advancement of humanity. Because that will boomerang on people like, oh my God, I was out there advocating and saying that Israel should be destroyed. Again, we don't really know what went on in Gaza. We know what the news reports say.
You know what? Approximately all of the people in Israel are not involved in the military in Israel. So like, Israel's bad. No, the people of Israel aren't doing this shit.
No, we don't know.
Yeah.
All right, let me pause you guys for a second. I want to say thank you to a couple more sponsors quick, and then I would like to run through a couple current event stuff just to hear you guys with your super analytical centuries worth of dot connecting minds. All right. I absolutely love this dude. You guys hear me talk about it on every show. Look, if you're paying for health insurance, this is me. This is not the read. I'm going to tell you, call David Becker. David Becker is a patriot through and through. Self-proclaimed Badlander, Rambo and Frens enthusiast. The dude's here all the time, and literally we text on a daily basis about the things we're seeing go down in the news cycle. So I absolutely love this dude. If you're paying for your own insurance, do yourself a favor. It's open enrollment time right now. Call this dude. Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance. Are you paying too much for your health insurance? Fall is the time of year when insurance companies send out their annual renewals and rate increases. For many, the high cost of medical insurance is about to get even worse. David Becker and his son Jesse of Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance are here to help you get the best possible PPO insurance coverage at affordable rates. If you think the cost of groceries has exploded, you should see what the hospitals are charging these days. Without the proper PPO protection, you could be liable for tens of thousands of dollars in the event of surgery or hospital stay. Since 1990, Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance has helped individuals and small businesses get access to nationwide PPOs, which cover both in-network and out-of-network charges in every state. Having a great nationwide network like Cigna will help keep your costs down to a minimum. If you're stuck paying for your own health insurance, call David for a free quote at 609-577-8557 or visit www.midatlanticba Business Alliance. That stands for midatlanticba.com/Rambo. Boom. Kofefi Coffee, kofefi.coffee. If you want to support any of these amazing Patriots and add-ons on this project, please go to kofefi.coffee. Of course, if you get this one right down here at the bottom, it supports this show specifically in Rambo Roast. And if anybody does ever get it, please let me know. Give me a review so we can tell everybody what you thought of it. But there's a bunch of amazing Patriots and add-ons, just like I said, on this project. By all means, go support any single one of them. So I hear Sarge's is really good. And then, of course, Mike Lindell, mypillow.com. If you want to support Mike, who has absolutely 100% fifth generation warfare the heck out of some election integrity conversation for the last 4 years against all odds, literally standing up against getting canceled and everything else. And the dude's products are second to none. So that is mypillow.com. If you want to save up to 80%, use promo code Rambo. Boom. It's almost like I've been doing this now for a little while, right? I'm getting good at that.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I was going to respond to Hollis Mangian, who said the Talmud is evil. I've got a bunch of Jewish friends. They're not evil. They're not criminals. Some of these are the best human beings I know. And it doesn't matter that they're Jewish. I mean, I've got most of my friends. All of my friends are good people. I'm not friends with shitheads and dickheads. And
wait, didn't we coin this the Udengate?
Udengate, yeah.
Udengate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know a Muslim guy, and I've had conversations with him about Islam because I know quite a bit about Islam, but he's actually Muslim. So I was asking him about it, and so in Islam, there's the Quran and the Hadith, okay, and all the anti-Muslim people focus on the Hadith, And this guy was telling me, they pray all the time and stuff. And he says the hadith. Nobody pays attention to that. It's like they just read the poetry in the Quran and say, "Oh, that's beautiful."
But we get the messaging, but we get the crazy messaging that there's mattresses in the tunnels behind the wall. We see the insanity going on in New York. That literally they're climbing out of freaking drainage.
That's what we've been shown.
Yep.
Were you there?
How is that? How in the world do people not tie themselves to that emotionally when you see a crib?
It's super easy. You just look at it and say, "Huh, look what somebody wants me to see."
Yep. And I would go back, Hollis. I know not all Jews follow the Talmud. The Talmud, I don't care if a document is judged to be evil or not. What we're talking about is judging people, right? And so if we're going to judge people, look, if you're a criminal, if you're evil, I don't care if you got it from the Talmud or from the Satanic Bible or from wherever you got it from. Or
there's some repugnant stuff in the Bible too, by the way.
Yeah, there is.
Christianity is fantastic. However, there's some really repugnant stuff in the Bible. So the same argument can be made about any of the religions.
Yep.
That's true. That's for sure true. I got an example I think fits in what you guys are talking about. So this was Abs that showed this, and they actually talked about it on this show. But the White House just posted this. Well, I believe it was yesterday.
Oh no.
So the White House just
it's orange.
Right.
Oh, yeah, because that's going to gain them votes. Democrats have guns too.
Well, and then this happens directly after.
News conference that just wrapped up with Orlando police. They do say there are 8 people that were shot as a large crowd was gathered there in the downtown area. Now, sadly, 2 people have been pronounced dead, 6 others taken to a hospital where they are listed as, quote, stable. We know that a shooting suspect was taken into custody over in the area of Washington and Orange. If you are familiar with the area, and a 17-year-old man is in custody in connection with this. We are told that suspect had been previously arrested last year for grand theft. Again, all of this information coming in moments ago from Orlando Police.
How do you have a
start us
gun?
off here with that news conference again from Orlando Police Chief.
Thank you for the reminder, KDD. You're right, because Dave posted this. It happened at 1:07 a.m. and he's 17 years old.
Yeah, and how did he have a gun if he had a prior felony arrest?
Right.
They would have confiscated his guns, right?
And
And
the
he
White
wouldn't be able
House
to buy one.
ban all assault weapons. That's all.
Now, so let me bring up 4POG. What does 4POG do? Remember, propaganda is not illegal. What does 4POG do? They deceive.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds that this, what are the odds that is completely staged and everybody on the grounds of that mall was a 4POG operator, and they staged this thing to make it look real in the news? How do you know that's not the case? You can sit there and react emotionally, but at the end of the day, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What if all of this stuff? What if the school shootings are? There's tons of problems with Sandy Hook and Parkland and all those.
Sandy Hook's a joke.
Sandy Hook is absurd.
Yeah, Sandy Hook's a complete joke. And then
zoom out and look at the overall pattern. In the 70s, school shootings didn't occur. Does anybody know what the most lethal school event is in U.S. history? I do. It didn't involve a gun. It involved a bomb. It was in the late 20s, I believe. Late 20s or early 30s. Some guy planted a bomb at a school and blew up half the school and killed a whole shitload of kids.
Do you remember when Philadelphia bombed the black extremists?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't remember their name either. Stomp or something like that.
Here's another one. Boston bombing. Remember that with all the carnage on the ground and all that? What does 4POG do? Can they stage that? Yes.
Dude,
Did they stage it? I don't know.
I've seen pictures of the cowboy, and the dude in the wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys have shown up in other places.
Mm-hmm.
Crisis actors.
Yeah.
Dude.
Now, the thing is, why would they leave those holes there? 4POG's better than that. They don't have to leave any holes. They can control the information space. Why are they putting the clues out that it's fake? to get you to think. They're
Dude,
trying to ascend your thinking.
Jabberjaw, no one in their right mind would go to war against a country where the kids shot their classmates at school.
Look,
That's funny.
Fajin, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, is absolutely right. David Hogg is Adam Lanza. You can't convince me otherwise. I've looked at 1,000 pictures.
Are those identities even real?
Right.
I mean, I watched the whole Sandy Hook thing just coincidentally. I was watching the streams live. I was deep in the whole Q thing, and I was watching the streams live, and I watched this stuff, and I was sitting there looking at it going, this isn't real. The only 3 colors of automobiles in the parking lot of the school were black, white, and tan. Those are police fleet vehicles. Okay. The whole ambulance scene, the crowd was walking around in a circle through the tent.
Yeah, I saw it.
For hours.
Dude, did you
That's
ever see
impossible.
the clip I played of not Sandy Hook, the other one. The one in the 2 guys in trench coats. There was really 3 of them.
Yeah, Columbine.
Yeah. Did you see that video I played? They were using dummies.
Yeah.
What? I didn't see the video, but that wouldn't surprise me. Dylan Harris.
Yeah, there's a video from Columbine where they show the cops manipulating the dummies.
Go ahead. You guys keep talking. I'll show the clip.
Oh my God.
So an interesting side story. When I was in Austin, Texas, I knew the dean of the psychiatry wing of UT Austin, which is about a third of UT Austin. UT Austin goes back and forth with Ohio State for the biggest university in the country. And so he was a dean of a third of that school. And he told me in confidence before he died that the entire field of psychiatry was bullshit. He was the guy who was being flown around for the Columbine school shooting to talk about the psychology of, what was going on. And he told me that psychiatry is total bullshit. Now, I don't expect anybody watching this podcast to believe me because I could be lying, guys. I could be feeding you another psyop.
We could be operators.
Right. We could be. In fact, I've made the joke many times that if there's anybody in this whole Q thing that somebody would suspect would be an operator, it'd be me. Right? So don't believe me. There's only one way out of this. You have to think.
Yep.
That's the only way out. If you trust me or John or Joe or anybody else you see, you're just setting yourself up to have somebody screw with your head. Don't do it. Think for yourself.
And
when you say is 4th PSYOP group. They are responsible for the Ghost in the Machine videos. There's multiple. If you look up 4th PSYOP group on YouTube or Facebook, or I don't know, just use YouTube. Yeah,
they're the PSYOP is capitalized. The PSYOP group on X.
Yep.
Yeah, and also don't leave 8POG out or 8POG because 8POG does support for 4POG.
They're listening to us right now.
Yeah,
they
they're
are.
laughing
Hey guys,
their heads off.
we really appreciate your service, everything you guys do, all
Right.
the actors. Your guy who played Sam Brinton, come on, man,
He needs a medal.
get him a medal.
Plus, you have 4POG and 8POG. You have 4chan and 8chan. Also, that use the logo of the freaking CIA.
Yeah, and you get the infinity symbol with it's.
You ready for this?
Oh yeah, this is great.
Okay, this is a very long video, so I'm going to jump through and get to the end, but this will show you.
I remember seeing scenes like this on your TV.
See this right here?
The Columbine shooting is used even to this day as a foundation for gun legislation. This footage comes from the helicopter that was there on the scene. And it formed a small group to go around to the side of the school and recover one of the bodies. The fire truck is finally positioned. You saw the puff of smoke out the back. And now they're going around to extract the body. But you'll notice,
John, watch this.
They grab the body by the arm and by the leg and drag it across the concrete, allowing the head to bounce on the concrete.
Because it's a mannequin.
A bad way to be. Totally unrealistic to what reality would dictate. Dragging along the concrete, bouncing the head. Now what they do is they pull it around to the front of the fire truck, pause for a moment, take a breath, bend down, pick it up, and stick it on the front of the bumper of the fire truck.
Oh, God.
There's hundreds of these, by the way, where you can see the
Right.
glitches.
Now they then take one of the bodies and
So now they're going to
position
get a
it
group
where
together
the
and go
kids are
back for the second
leaving the
body.
school.
Now, if you'll notice, in front of the fire truck, across the concrete sidewalk, is where they claim that the body of the first student they encountered was, but there's no body there. That's because that body was the body that they're going to recover right now and drag it around and position it
I don't know what
in
the
front of
problem
the
with
truck.
the police radio is.
You got to be kidding me. Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little.
When they can't leave it on the front of the fire truck, so they pull this police car that you see in the picture around to the front of the fire truck, and you'll see them stuff the body into the back seat. Now you'd say, oh, that's a real person. They're taking that person to the emergency room. Wrong. The cops are there.
They'd have an ambulance.
This is all one continuous shot that you never saw on the mainstream media. Because if you did, you'd know the truth about this Columbine lie. Here comes the police car. They pick the one body up off the bumper,
So bad.
open up the back doors. There they go, carrying it into the back seat, stuffing it in the back seat. Come around to the side, pull it through, leaving the other dummy on the ground.
This will be worth it. I realize it's a few minutes long. The end of this will be worth it.
Now that police car stays there on the scene. As this is one continuous shot, we can see the other teams lining up, ready to do their part of the exercise in this multi-jurisdictional drill. Over 90 agencies showed up there that day, including NATO.
Including NATO. Give me a break.
As the camera pans back around, we see that the police car is still sitting in the same spot with the dummy in the back. And the police officers are prepping the body that's on the ground in front of the truck. They'll move it to the other side of the sidewalk so they can bring the fire truck back around and get ready for the next scene when they run the children out around the body and up the stairwell over to the parking lot.
So they position the body where they need it to be so the kids can run by it.
Yep. Yeah.
Why are we able to find this video?
Here's
If they're
where
running
prepping the body.
psyops,
Poor Pug, your slip is showing.
I can get around a little bit.
nah, it's intentional.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
Now they reposition everything.
Yeah.
If you were to seen this on the mainstream media shown to you that day, you would have known the truth.
There's 2 minutes left.
That this whole entire event was a drill, and it's being used by mainstream media and the anti-gun lobbyists to push agenda.
Deeper than that.
That, by Homeland Security's own definition, is terrorism.
How did the body get there?
I was watching them run the children out. We see them running around the body, the dummy that they left there alongside of the truck.
Look at all the Zoids.
They could have been real kids. I mean, it could have been real
though.
kids.
But they're not done with the dummy yet.
Yeah, but they got to make sure they can't talk.
That's true.
We still see the one camera shot here.
Actually, a lot of them could be legitimate
to the
people who
right.
don't know. They could be kids that actually think it's real.
Dude, watch
Follow
this last part.
officer. Then pans back to the left. And we see them dragging the dummy once again through the mud with the limp arm, no joints, and they leave it in the puddle.
That makes no sense.
Did you see the joint? Did you watch the arm? Watch this again.
Then you see them dragging the dummy
watch
once
the
again.
arm. I wish I
through
could
the
slow
mud
it down.
with the limp arm, no joints, and they leave it in the puddle.
Oh, God. Yeah, they'd never handle a human body that way.
No, and they wouldn't put it out for all the kids to see.
Yeah, this whole thing is obviously a psyop of some sort. But the question I would ask is, if the 90 agencies showed up,
You still think?
you don't think the CIA can prevent you from getting hold of this video?
Just note the arm. There's no joint.
Yeah, I know.
It's a dummy. A dummy.
It's a dummy. Yeah, why are we able to even see this video? They can prevent that video from ever being seen. They would, wouldn't they? I mean, it's obviously a high budget operation.
Not only do they allow it to be seen, but I'm going to show you something. Not only was it allowed to be seen, it was amplified to the moon on just my freaking Twitter. 2.1 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Why would you have a psyop where this stuff is hard to find? You have to look for it, right? And then you find out that it's all fake, and then you look at it and say, well, why is it all fake? There has to be a logical explanation to all of what you see.
Yep.
And that's what most people can't get their head around, is that the only rational explanation John and I have been able to come up with is it's all controlled.
Lie. How do you say that? Someone asked, were the kids in on it? Did anybody really die? This is where I would suggest that you or anyone out there, if you're interested, dig on it. Do a dig. Do a dig. Back and watch all the videos. They're all out there. You can go to BitChute. You can do oldbitchute.com now, where it's not censored, because the new BitChute is censored. But if you type in old BitChute, it will take you to the old site. There's nothing but videos there. Use your own discernment. You can go to YouTube. You can go to Rumble. You can go anywhere on the. I use Brave browser rather than Google because it does better than the censored Google is. But do your own dig. Come to your own conclusions. Watch it all.
What? You're pointing out something that is actually really powerful, and that is John and I didn't come up with these conclusions by looking around at what everybody else was saying and then deciding which conclusion we like the best. Our conclusions are strictly what we've come up with ourselves by digging and trying to interpret the information and make sense of it. Okay. Most of what you see is, well, two things. You see people saying shit, and then you see other people saying, well, what about this? What does this mean? Stop asking those questions of other people. Go find out what you think. Go find what makes sense to you.
Even to answer the question would be my opinion, my discernment of what I've found. And my opinion would be that those kids were used. I think the kids are real. I think the school's real.
Yeah.
I think false flag doesn't mean fake.
Right. The kids, all of those kids that were running out may believe there was an actual real shooter, and the magic trick involved deceiving the children as well.
Yeah, that would be my opinion.
Yeah. That's the only way you could get them to not talk. In my
and by the way, we could be totally wrong about everything we've said today.
Yeah, don't trust us.
Don't trust us. Go dig.
Yeah.
Go look for yourself.
Yep.
Oh, but
Yep.
that's so hard. It takes so much time. Well, then I guess you're just not going to know.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm out here. That's why a lot of us are out here digging and presenting, because people don't have the time, or you know, I think what we're doing in presenting this and the idea of free thought and doing your own research, and it's why you hear it at the end of almost everybody's show, right? Red Pill 78's been saying it for how many years now? Don't trust me, do your own research, right? I'm just going to present to you what I've found. Dig on it yourself. It's
okay to not know. Just don't act like you do know because you heard somebody else say some shit.
It's also okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
Look at us.
We've done it many times.
Look at us.
Now that is something that comes with this. You have to be willing to be wrong and change opinion.
Yeah.
When you come across new information, if you hold on to something emotionally as truth, you will end up being wrong 100% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, by way of example, 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I thought the world was run by Satanists.
Yep.
And then one day I thought about it and said,
we had this progression though, where we were both thinking. And by the way, we don't always agree. But
mostly because John's an ass.
What's that?
Mostly because John's an ass.
You're a fag. No, but we went through this and I mean, you guys can go look back at shows. We've done shows with Joe. We've done shows with Defender of the Republic, Heidi. But we started out, Paul and I were talking about Q, and we're both like, well, okay, if there was really a plan and it started, could it have really started in October of 2017? And were they really at risk at that time? Like the Q narrative says, oh, operators in harm's way and all that kind of stuff. Well, then what were they doing disclosing on a public forum details about this stuff if it was really happening?
Yeah.
The only way that they would ever disclose details like that was if they had full strategic control, and I think full control.
Right. Which means it must have started before Trump, because there wasn't time to plan it.
No. And if it really worldwide, you have this crime syndicate that Q talks about, the babies and the human trafficking and all that stuff.
Right.
Do you think you could have really solved that in 3 years?
I don't think 3 years. It started like a month after he was in office.
Well,
October of 2017.
October 17, he was in January 20th. He had about 9 months to plan it. Q can predict details about political moves 5 years in advance. There's no way that was planned in 9 months.
Yep.
It's impossible.
It was very early on that he told us about the calm before the storm, and that was before any Q drop.
Which brings up kind of a conundrum, because if Trump didn't authorize it as POTUS, which POTUS authorized it? Was it Obama? Was it Bush? Was it Clinton? And you keep going back, and it gets weirder and weirder.
Yep.
And then you're asking yourself, did JFK die? We saw a film.
Yep.
We got a whole bunch of witness testimony, but fourth pog.
Those were the good old days with what, 4 channels and no internet,
3
and media owned. I mean,
yeah, 3, and then you had channel 1. I was there.
Authorized Q as an operation. I can't pronounce your name. Abmikimba 606.
Yeah. Yeah. Some POTUS had to green light Q.
Or this is totally unconstitutional.
Right. And the thing is, John and I went all the way back to 1898, and we went to Teddy Roosevelt, and we came up with a theory called the Percival theory, which is still valid, we think. And what it points out is that you can't tell what you're watching. You don't know. Propaganda is not illegal, and this whole thing could be a gigantic charade. You can't know.
Yep.
Anybody who says, but I have a declassified document that says that Operation blah, blah, blah is responsible for all this shit. Really? Is that document part of the PSYOP?
Great example of that is the when the tranche of JFK files were released in December of 2022, I think it was, there was this one CIA memo that supposedly in 1964, after JFK died, there's a note, detailing a meeting between Kennedy and maybe Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Okay, does that
JFK
prove
got
that?
briefed.
Does that prove that Kennedy didn't die? Nope.
No. It proves that you have a digital copy of a piece of paper that says that. That's all it proves.
Fort Pog is fourth PSYOP group. All right, I have to start to wrap it because we'll do this all day, and I got kids and stuff to deal with. I want you guys. I saw that you put your Substack in the chat. Here, let me put that up. Sapioplex.substack.com. So this is the Percival theory one. Is the link that he put up here? It's absolutely amazing. We've gone over some of these Substacks on the show. I highly suggest going back through the archives on Rambo and Frens. If this is your first time seeing these guys and you're interested in what it is they talk about, there's multiple episodes of hanging out with these guys, and we will absolutely be doing it again here in the future. I'm really excited to be getting so many more eyes on this channel to get guys like these two more eyes on what they do, because I think that what they do is absolutely imperative. Free thought process and understanding that most of what we're told is not the truth, to say the least, is super important in this ascension process.
And there's good reasons for it, which is really the craziest thing about where John and I have gone is that this seems evil and horrible and crazy, but when you get to the end of it, you realize it has to be this way.
Yep.
And you understand why, and you go, oh, humanity.
All right. Well, do you each want to take a turn? Let everybody know where they can find you.
Sure. I'm on X, JF_Anon. I'm on Truth Social as JFanon, like my name is on the screen right there. And Paul and I collaborate on the Sapioplex Substack, which we posted in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where you find me.
I am Sapioplex on both Truth Social and Twitter. I don't end up posting that much except sarcastically, and sometimes I could be a real dick. But yeah, that's where I am. And then there's a Substack, which is sapioplex.substack.com. That's where we publish articles. We may actually start writing articles. Again, we haven't for months, but
yeah,
we may actually start again. It'll be a little bit different than what we've done in the past. The stuff on the Substack is really nuts. I posted a link to the analysis of Fox and Socks.
Yep.
Which is Dr. Zeus. And when you read through it, yeah, we could be wrong. But there's a lot of coincidences in that.
There's a lot of stuff in there. It's
in all the media. It's in all of the media.
Ren and Stimpy blew my mind. Yellow Submarine blew my mind. Look, guys, go check out their Substack. You will have your mind blown. It will challenge you. It will challenge the way that you think.
It will hurt you.
Disengage your emotions.
Yep.
From the stuff that you think you know to be true, and that how could Dr. Seuss? That's bullshit. He's a children's book author. Really?
Yeah, but you know what else he was, John?
He served under Brigadier General McClure in the PSYOP
groups.
Mm-hmm. World War II.
That's why it's Fox and Fox.
There is over 1,600 people here in Rumble. Guys, we got 428 likes, and one person smacked us with a thumb down. If you guys could help get this show up there on the leaderboard, just like the streak you guys have put, I think it's been 2 months now. Every single show has hit the leaderboard, and that is because you guys are so active in the chat. So if I could push one more time and ask you guys to do that, it would mean everything to this show. I don't yet have the next show scheduled, but I promise you it will be just as soon as I can possibly do it. I work day shift next week, so it's not going to be Monday through Thursday. I'm thinking I may try to do something on Friday because GART is the weekend after that. So I will do as many shows as I possibly can up until that point. I have a whole stinking list of amazing Anons and Patriots that want to come on this show. Quite a good problem to have right now because we are just days away. Keep an eye on the Telegram. Keep an eye on my Twitter, these guys' Twitter. News Treason, go over there tonight because he's going to be having Patrick Gunnels on. And let's see how this election goes. It's going to be awesome, I think. It's going to be, no matter what happens, it's going to be awesome.
I saw that Dave post stuff 24 to 48 hour rule. Yeah, it's going to be at least that. I would almost go like a 1 week rule. And maybe that's not even enough in this case.
I think the whole narrative in the next couple months is just going to seem to be falling apart. Like stuff's going to be happening that people are going, oh, come on. It's sort of like, was it Monty Python where they have these cut scenes where everybody's going, come on,
get on with it.
Get on with it. I think it's just going to fall apart and become so stupid that people can't take it.
I got to say thank you to everybody in the chat who's been thanking us.
Yeah.
Really, like the chat is always lit, and it's always great to have interaction like that. We don't know we're right. And in any case, even if we thought we were right, don't believe us. Do your own research. We could be totally wrong.
It's more about how you think than what you believe. Because if you think well, you'll end up believing what you believe for good reasons. But if you just trust what other people say, you don't have good reasons for those beliefs. You don't have any reason for it other than, well, some guy said this stuff.
Yep. Something else I want to say. What was it? Oh, if you look on the Substack and you go back and do it in reverse order, starting with iPet Goat, there were probably 4 or 5 articles on IPG.
That's forward order. Go back to the oldest first, and you'll find this enormous analysis of iPet Goat we did.
Yeah, iPet Goat one is stinking brilliant.
But that all of those articles on there kind of follow our progression through this whole thing.
Yeah.
We did a series. Like, do you guys remember the viral thing from 2000? All Your Base belong to us. We did a full analysis of that.
That's full of bird language.
Tons.
Yeah.
Tons.
I'll tell you what. I'll put a couple of the links. I'll put the link to your Substack on the Telegram page for sure. Maybe I'll even make a tweet about it if I can figure out how to tie it into the link for the show today. I'll do that on Twitter as well. I want to end with this today. So Elon Musk just put out a video that's 1 minute, 7 seconds long. Of course. It's 1 minute and 7 seconds of the show, right? So this is literally what's being presented to the masses. Elon Musk has like 200 million followers. He's going around campaigning. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's that. So here's the video. I want to thank you guys very, very much. As soon as I'm going to go out of this straight into the outro. I will see all of you guys next Friday in the Telegram, on Twitter, a little bit of True Social here and there. Please go follow these guys. Thank you very much. I can't wait to do it again. All right, here we go.
Thank you, guys.
1 minute and 7 second Elon Musk video.
Think about all they've done to Donald Trump. First, it was hoaxes, witch hunts, and impeachments. Then it was FBI raids, courtrooms, and mugshots. Finally, it was bullets in a Pennsylvania field. And after all that, this man stood up with blood draining down his face, pumped his fists in the air, and told us to fight. Fight. Fight.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. And we will make America great again.
We know what they think of us.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
So if Donald Trump can get through all of that, we can get out to vote.
1 minute and 7 seconds. Much love, guys. We'll catch you next time. Bye.